Chapter 4361. Lei Yu hesitated for a moment, but in the end he chose to bide his time. Although he sympathized with the guards of the Zixuan clan who had been tragically killed, his reason told him that now was not the time to take action. Very quickly, the guards near the divine worship were either dead or had fled. The surroundings were instantly filled with densely packed shadows. This group of black shadows were all dressed in black robes with huge hoods on their heads. Their facial features were all covered by the shadows of the hoods, making it impossible to see their specific faces. This group of black-robed men was led by the pale, skinny man. He said to the people behind him in a low voice, "Try to make as much noise as possible to attract the people of the Zixuan clan and create an opportunity for Fei Pengze." Everyone nodded, and then they took out round black stones. The surface of these round stones was engraved with dense, tiny lines, which filled the entire surface of the round stones. They formed a circle, placed all the round stones in their hands around the divine ship, and then injected their divine power into the round stones. With the input of divine power, the lines on the round stones began to light up with a blazing white light, and the white light became more and more intense. Following as the white light intensified, the entire round stone began to brew an extremely powerful and terrifying destructive energy. This energy was huge and uncontrollable. It's the divine meteor stone. Heavens, they actually got so many divine meteor stones. In the dark alley, Lei Yu's pupils contracted the moment he saw the strange round stones taken out by the black-robed men. The divine meteor stone was a one-time destructive weapon made by the divine refiner. Its function was similar to the bombs on Earth. Xiu warriors channeled their divine power into the God Meteor Stone, activating the accumulated energy within the God Meteor Stone. Then, under the activation of the runes on the surface of the stone, this energy would expand countless times in a short period of time, causing a world-shaking explosion of energy. Each person in this group had a divine meteor stone, and there were dozens of them in total. If they exploded together, the energy produced would be extremely terrifying. These divine meteor stones are not enough to destroy the terrible formation on the surface of the divine ship, Zhuan said faintly. Since Zhuowen's array Dao had advanced to the third heavenly layer of the eternal realm, his perception of grand array restrictions had become even sharper. He could see at a glance that the grand array restrictions on the surface of the divine ship were extraordinary. These divine meteorites weren't enough to destroy them. Also, do not act rashly without my orders. I'm guessing that there's an ancient starlight expert behind these people. If that expert doesn't step into the peerless thunder god formation, we can't expose ourselves. Do you understand? Zhuowen solemnly reminded. Rei Yu, Lei Jia, and the others were shocked. What Zhuowen said was right. These people had nothing to fear. They definitely had the support of an ancient starlight powerhouse behind them. They were just array masters who specialized in array Dao. Even though there were 3 array masters at the third heaven of the eternal realm, they were no match for Ni Gu Xingguang in a real battle. Once they were exposed, they would definitely die. Zhuan looked at Lei Yu and the others who still had a lingering fear in their hearts. In fact, there was something that he did not say out loud. Under the premise that the divine ship was not destroyed, he wanted the Zixuan clan to learn a lesson. As long as they suffered real pain, they would remember the lesson. Otherwise, the Zixuan clan and Zilong would still be arrogant and self-righteous. However, Yuan only told Lei Jia the real purpose of Fei Pengze and the others. When he was talking with Zilong, he didn't have a chance to say it at all. Zilong interrupted him. He thought that the Saintess would have enough power to save the situation after learning the truth. Unfortunately, she didn't have absolute control. In the end, Zilong gained the upper hand, resulting in today's situation. I hope that Zilong is not stupid enough to fall for the trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain. Otherwise, the so-called sacred fire source may not be preserved. When glanced in the direction of the inner city of Zixuan's sacred city, thinking silently in his heart, he remembered that in the conversation between Fei Pengze and the skinny man, they seemed to have the keys of the other saintesses except for Zilong. Now, the only thing missing was Zilong's key. Fei Pengze's mission was to steal Zilong's key. Zhuan didn't hide this news and told it to Lei Jia. Lei Jia would naturally tell the saintess. Cling. However, whether they believed it or not, it was none of Zhuowen's business. Anyway, he had done his best. Boom. Boom. An earth-shattering explosion completely pulled Zhuowen's thoughts back to reality. The divine meteorite around the divine ship exploded one after another. Clusters of explosions were set off and constantly merged to form an even larger explosion. The terrifying energy flame soared into the sky like a pillar of fire that had existed since ancient times. It shone brightly in the pitch-black night, and it painted the entire Zixian holy city as if it was daytime. The light and the deafening explosion completely spread throughout the entire Zixian sacred city, awakening countless cultivators in the city. The cultivators near the divine ship fled as if avoiding the plague, trying to stay as far away from the terrifying explosion as possible. In the core of the inner city, Ziyuan Palace. Ziyuan, who was originally restless, stood silently on the rooftop. A pair of beautiful crystal-like eyes stared closely at the direction of the divine ship. Shine her mind, the words that Lei Jia had said to her were still echoing. Let's do it tonight. If the divine ship is really attacked and Lei Jia's news is absolutely true, then we have to be more careful. Ziyuan muttered to herself. Only as soon as she finished speaking, she looked in the direction of the divine ship. She saw the terrifying explosion that was expanding like a balloon. She also heard the deafening sound of the explosion. At this moment, she understood that what Lei Jia said was true. Go to Zilong and remind her that she must not leave. Ziyuan made a prompt decision and immediately went to the Zixian Palace. Ever since the other holy maidens expressed their support for Zilong, most of the other holy maidens had gathered in the Zixian Palace to discuss the matter of arresting the young demonic cultivator. When Ziyuan hurried to the Zixian Palace, she found that Zilong and the other 3 holy maidens had left the Zixian Palace and were heading towards the divine ship to support it. Zilong also transferred 90% of the troops in the core of the inner city. Ziyuan, after listening to the account of the servant of the Zixian Palace, she was so angry that her whole body trembled. Although the other 3 holy maidens were on her side now, she did not inform her about the mobilization of the troops in the core of the inner city. Ziyuan was so anxious that she stomped her feet. She subconsciously wanted to chase after Zilong, but Lei Jia's words appeared in her mind again. Now, the core of the inner city had become completely empty because of Zilong's stupidity. If she also left and there were really strong people coming to invade, then it would really be dangerous. Call Zilong back first, Ziyuan said. Ziyuan took out a communication jade talisman and sent an urgent message to Zilong and the other 3 holy maidens, asking them to bring some troops back to the core of the inner city first. However, after waiting for a few minutes, Ziyuan did not receive a reply from Zilong and the others. She knew that Zilong did not intend to listen to her. Chapter 4362. Damn it! Zilong, that bastard. Ziyuan was furious. She took one last look at Zilong Palace and left in a hurry. She knew the seriousness of this matter and had to report it to the female supreme. But before reporting to Her Majesty, she had to return to Ziyuan Palace and take out the key that belonged to her and hide it on her body. She knew very well that the goal of these people was the sacred fire source. While the 5 keys to open the sacred fire source were all in the hands of the saintesses, she felt that it was not safe to leave it in Ziyuan Palace, so she simply took it with her. Clang. Ziyuan hurried back to Ziyuan Palace and opened the secret compartment in the depths, only to find that it was empty. Originally, the key that was originally hidden in the secret compartment and belonged to her for safekeeping had actually disappeared without a trace. Oh no! Ziyuan's expression changed completely. She could no longer keep calm and immediately walked to the altar in the deepest part of the inner city. The 2 female supreme of the Zishuan clan had been missing for a long time. If the 5 saintesses wanted to contact the female supreme, they had to go through the central altar. While Ziyuan was panicking to inform the female supreme, the 4 saintesses, Zilong, Zxian, Zilian, and Ziyong, had already led a group of cultivator troops and arrived near the divine warship. Zilong, the great saintess, asked us to bring back some of our troops. Are we just going to ignore it? The second saintess, Zxian, said with a frown. The divine worship is of great importance. If we can't save the divine worship, the four of us will be sinners. The great saintess must want revenge. At this time, if we listen to her and mobilize some of our troops, then we may not be able to save the divine worship. At that time, will the female supreme blame the great saintess or the four of us? If we really listen to the great saintess, the four of us will really suffer. Zilong said lightly. Zxn was silent for a moment, then sighed softly and did not refute. In fact, she was quite regretful in her heart. Why did she choose to believe Zilong in the beginning? Now, it had led to such a big mistake. Even if they stopped the attackers this time, they would still be punished according to the clan's rules. I have already seen the attackers. Everyone, pay attention. Follow me and surround them. Since they dared to sneak attack our Zishuan clan's divine worship, they will pay with their lives. Zilong raised her arm and shouted to all the cultivator troops. Only the vast army of cultivators let out deafening shouts and then charged towards the divine worship like falling meteors. Outside of the explosion, the skinny man hidden in the darkness looked up at the dense cultivator army in the sky, blocking all their escape routes. Not only did he not panic, but the corners of his mouth even curled up into a sinister smile. I thought Zilong was stupid enough, but now I realize that I have overestimated her. Her stupidity is the most I have ever seen in my life. The skinny man sneered at the man beside him and calmly summoned his cosmic form. The moment the skinny man rushed out, the black-clothed men hiding in the dark also rushed out fearlessly. 4 of them are at the pinnacle of the Dharma plane of the universe. The rest are mostly at the early, middle, and pinnacle of the cosmic tribulation. The instant the black-clothed men launched their counterattack, Zilong and the others were shocked. They were intimidated by their formation. Although Zilong and the others still had the advantage in terms of formation, it was not so easy for them to take down this group of black-clothed men. Bang bang bang, bang. The two sides clashed, and the battle reached its climax as soon as it began. Countless beams of energy bloomed, blooming with colorful brilliance in the night sky. In a hidden alley far away, Voan, who had been paying attention to the divine worship, rubbed his forehead and said, "How stupid is Zilong to make such a low-level mistake again and again?" Lei Yu and Lei Jia were also worried. They looked at Zhuoan, asking if Zhuoan could activate the unparalleled Thunder God array. Not yet. The real master behind the scenes has not appeared. Let's wait and see. Since all of this was caused by Zilong, she should bear the responsibility. I have no obligation to clean up her mess, Zhuoan said calmly. Lei Jia and Lei Yu smiled bitterly and did not say anything else. Just as the divine worship was engaged in a fierce battle, a black divine worship broke out of the core inner city and swept towards the divine worship like a bolt of black lightning. This divine worship did not join the battle near the divine worship. Instead, it turned in the other direction and entered a mountain range north of the divine worship. It's the Black God. Fei Pengze is still in Zishen Sacred City? Zilong was fighting with the skinny man. Naturally, she noticed the black divine worship that had just passed by. She immediately recognized it as Fei Pengze's Black God. Fei Pengze, you heartless man. The second Saintess Zxen, who was fighting with another pinnacle cosmic Dharma plane master, recognized the Black God, and her beautiful face became twisted. She immediately abandoned the enemy in front of her and chased crazily towards the Black God that was heading towards the northern mountain range. The Black God seems to have come from the core inner city. Fei Pengze couldn't have done something in the core inner city, right? Saintess Zi Lian transmitted her voice to Zilong and Ziyong as she fought. Purple Wen Long and Ziyong heard this, their hearts skipped a beat. They knew that things were not going well. No, the great Saintess is in charge of the core inner city. It's absolutely safe. Let's quickly deal with this and then return to the core inner city. Long hurriedly transmitted her voice, but her heart sank. She quickly remembered the young demonic cultivator's warning and the great Saintess Ziyuan's words. Difficult Dao, was she really wrong? I can't be wrong. The ones who are wrong are the great Saintess and the young demonic cultivator. The more Zilong thought, the more confused she became. The skinny man seized the opportunity and successfully attacked, forcing Zilong to panic and fall into a disadvantageous position. At the same time, the pinnacle cosmic Dharma plane master, who was originally the opponent of the second Saintess Zexen, joined the ranks of those besieging Zilong. He forced Zilong into danger, and the injuries on her body began to increase. No. Suddenly, there was a shrill and sharp scream from the northern mountain range. Purplelong, Ziyong, and Zilian immediately recognized that the owner of the scream was Zexen. When they thought about it, they realized that there was another black shadow coming from the northern mountain range. This black shadow was the black god that had left and returned. Here at this moment, at the bow of the black god's deck, a young man stood upright. Beside Fei Pengze stood beside the young man, bowing respectfully, as if he was a servant. What frightened the three of them was that the ordinary-looking young man was grabbing the hair of the second Saintess Zexen with his right hand and pulling it like trash. While the eyes of the second Saintess Zexen were unfocused, and her body was limp. If not for the fact that there was still a trace of life, Zilong and the others would have thought that Zexen was already a corpse. "It's a master from the defying ancient starlight," Long screamed, her eyes filled with despair. Chapter 4363. He's really a defying ancient starlight expert. Ziyong and Zilian could not help but look at the young man standing at the bow of the ship. They could naturally feel that the young man's aura was much stronger than theirs. Moreover, there was a mysterious starlight in his every movement, which was the symbol of the defying ancient starlight expert's divine power. Whoosh! Black wherever the divine ship passed, it set off a violent and fierce storm. In the blink of an eye, it stopped above the divine ship. Everyone. Only now did people discover that the youth at the bow of the black god ship had a head of strange gray hair. Every strand of hair was like a worm that wriggled in an irregular manner, as if they were living, slender earthworms. Green Yen wore a strange smiley face mask, only revealing a pair of gray and white pupils. His gray and white pupils faintly looked down at the divine ship below, which was still flowing with the light of the formation. He could not help but exclaim, "This divine ship is indeed a product of a super realm. It has set up such a large area of the third heaven of the eternal realm combined formation. This is really a big deal." Apart from the slightly dimmed formation patterns on the surface of the divine ship, there was no damage. It did not look like it had just been attacked at all. Why did you attack our divine ship? Don't you know the background of our Zixin clan? Zilong hurriedly retreated from the battle and looked with fear at the young man who had just appeared with Ziyong and Zilian. Damn! The thin man and the others did not chase after them. Instead, they looked at Zilong and the others with ridicule. They knew that the appearance of this lord meant that the plan had succeeded. As for Zilong and the others, they would not be able to escape death. Of course I know the background of your Zixin clan. Your two female supremes are just two bitches. No, all the female supremes of your Zixin clan are bitches. The young man sneered. Zilong and the other two women's faces changed slightly as they retorted gloomily. The female supremes were the supreme leader of their Zixin clan and their spiritual pillar. How could they allow the young man to insult their respected female supremes? I'm telling the truth. You are saintesses, so you should know the secret of becoming a female supremes, right? How did your Zixin clan rise so quickly? A long time ago, you were still an inconspicuous clan, but now you have become the undisputed #1 clan in a higher realm? Isn't it because the women of the Zixin clan served the so-called big shots of super realms so well that they were willing to be female slaves and let them play with them in exchange for the glory of the Zixin clan? The mocking smile on the young man's lips grew wider and wider. He didn't restrain his voice at all. Instead, it grew louder. Shut up. Don't even think about slandering our Zixin clan. The faces of Zilong and the others changed drastically, and they couldn't help but berate him. Far somewhere, in a hidden alley, Zhuowen's eyes. When he first learned about the history of the rise of the Zixin clan, he also felt a little strange. The Zixin clan was very weak. They did not have any amazing geniuses, nor did they have any weapons that could intimidate most domains. The sudden rise of such a clan was very suspicious in Zhuowen's eyes. Now, the young man's words made Zhuoan completely understand that the rise of the Zixin clan was relying on women as a weapon. Thinking of this, Zhuoan couldn't help but look at Lei Yu and Lei Jia beside him. They were the older generation of the Thunder Array clan, so they should know more about the Zixin clan than he did. He wondered if they knew such secrets. Don't look at us, we're not members of the Zixin clan, so we don't have the right to know their real secret. But the two female supremes often take the divine ship to the super realms. As for what they do, we don't know. Lei Yu spread out his hands and said helplessly, "Slander? Ha." Nian sneered disdainfully and continued, "If you want to live, then surrender. That way you still have a chance to live. Don't even think about it, this is Zixin's sacred city. You want us to surrender? What a joke. Get into formation and kill him together." Long's eyes revealed a ruthless look as she commanded the cultivator army to form a special and powerful battle formation. Number the power of tens of thousands of cultivator army joined together and surged toward the young man with an earth-shattering momentum. "Sir, be careful." Just as the skinny man was about to lead a group of black-clothed men to block the attack for the young man casually waved his hand and stopped the skinny man. The skinny man hesitated for a moment, then nodded and retreated with a group of black-clothed men. The terrifying attack was like an endless wave, and in the blink of an eye, it appeared above the black god. Gong Fei Pingze, who was standing respectfully behind the young man, saw that the terrifying energy wave was about to overturn, and his heart thumped wildly. He was extremely nervous. If the young man wasn't still here, he would have steered the black god away from this terrifying attack. Only, the young man opened his right palm and clenched it toward the sky. The mighty wave of energy seemed to have come to a standstill, completely stopping in the air. In front of the reverse ancient starlight, no matter how many people there are, it is difficult to gain any advantage because there is a qualitative difference between the two. Now, I'll let you see how big the difference is. The young man's voice was arrogant and unruly. He stretched out his right hand and squeezed fiercely. The energy waves suspended in the sky completely collapsed, and countless energies surged out and turned into countless energy ripples. Under the young man's control, the countless energy ripples were dyed with strange starlight, and then turned into a counteracting shockwave that blasted toward the cultivator army of the Zixin clan. Bang, bang, bang. In the entire void, there were continuous explosions. An astonishing number of the cultivator army were sent flying in all directions by the terrifying shockwave. Many cultivator army soldiers were directly destroyed by the shockwave and couldn't be more dead. The three saintesses, Zilong, Ziyong, and Zilian, were also having a hard time resisting. They couldn't help but retreat repeatedly, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of their mouths. 3. The woman stabilized her body in shock and anger. When she looked at the black god in the distance again, she found that only Fei Pengze was left at the bow of the black god. The young man with the strange mask had disappeared without a trace. "Not good, he's above us." Ziyong suddenly looked up and exclaimed. The young man hovered above them, his right hand shining with starlight, and gently pressed down. Endless starlight surged and condensed into a huge whirlpool-like galaxy. Boom, boom. The huge river of stars quickly came crashing down and landed on the three women. "Block it!" Zilong shouted and controlled the huge Dharma, holding up the arms above her. Ziyong and Zilian also used all their strength to resist the terrifying galaxy with difficulty. However, this strange galaxy was extremely heavy. The moment it fell on them, their Dharma's huge hands were crushed to pieces. The three of them were mercilessly crushed and fell heavily to the ground. Fei Pengze and the skinny man's eyes were filled with awe and passion. This was the power of the reverse ancient starlight. With a raise of the hand, it could crush a pinnacle Dharma master of the universe without any resistance. Chapter 43-64. The young man waved his arm casually. He didn't even look at the three saintesses who were struggling under the river of stars. His gaze passed through the countless buildings in Zixin Sacred City and landed on the inner city. He saw that the inner city had already activated a powerful defensive array. The other areas of Zixin Sacred City were in a mess. Many cultivators were trying to escape the sacred city and hide as far away as possible. Let's go. Follow me to the inner city. If we can successfully obtain the sacred fire source, all of you will have contributed greatly. Especially Fei Pengze. You have done well. The young man looked deeply at Fei Pengze and smiled. Fei Pengze drove the black god to the young man's side. He knelt on one knee and quickly said, "Sir, you are too kind. It is Pengze's honor to be able to serve you." The young man nodded and stepped into the black god. Just as Fei Pengze was about to drive the black god away, dense and terrifying array patterns suddenly appeared in the surroundings. These array patterns were like endless fishes, entangling the surroundings and enveloping Fei Pengze, the young man, and the group of black-clothed men in a ring shape. Someone set up an array here in advance? Fei Pengze asked. Fei Pengze frowned slightly. His eyes were extremely cold, but he didn't pay too much attention to it. The array patterns that suddenly appeared weren't that powerful. Therefore, he thought that it was just an ordinary array and activated the 5-god cannon inside the black god. Boom, boom, boom. The huge cannon released a terrifying energy blast that penetrated the array patterns in front of them. Beezity. However, to Fei Pengze's horror, the moment the energy blast came into contact with the array patterns, the surface of the array patterns suddenly exploded with terrifying purple lightning. The terrifying purple lightning directly engulfed the energy cannons and rapidly spread towards the black god ship. Fei Pengze's expression changed greatly. He immediately drove the black god to avoid the purple lightning. The speed of the black god was indeed very fast. The purple lightning didn't catch up with the black god, but the entire array suddenly changed. The originally harmless-looking densely packed runes burst forth with dense purple lightning and began to descend indiscriminately. Within the array, purple lightning was everywhere and was as dense as a torrential downpour. No matter how fast the black god ship was, where could it hide within the array? Humph! We've been tricked. The Xian clan actually has another ambush. Nian's expression changed. He formed a seal with his right hand. Resplendent starlight spread out, forming a solid starlight barrier around the black deity. San Yan was indeed an expert of the defying ancient starlight realm. The starlight shield he condensed was indeed powerful, blocking the terrifying purple lightning around him. However, the men in black were not so lucky. Under the attack of the purple thunder, most of them screamed and turned into ashes. Only the 4 top Dharma laws of the universe, led by the skinny man, managed to hold on and did not die immediately. As for Zhuowen and the others who were hiding in the distant alley, the moment they activated the peerless lightning god array, they no longer hid their tracks. One after another, they walked out of the alley and came to the outside of the array. Zhuowen looked at the undamaged divine warship and muttered, "If I knew that they couldn't do any substantial damage to the divine warship, I wouldn't have gone through so much trouble to only set up the peerless lightning god array to help the Xian clan." However, this was only Zhuowen's complaint. After all, there were too many uncertainties. The men in black couldn't do any substantial damage to the divine warship, but the youth was an expert of the defying ancient starlight realm. There was no guarantee that he could destroy the divine warship with just a few hits. The Lightning Array clan. I didn't expect the Xian clan to arrange for you to ambush here. It's my mistake. I didn't think of you. Nian's face was gloomy. He looked coldly at Lei Jia and Lei Yu. With his eyes, he naturally saw the Lightning Array clan's symbol on their clothes. "Little friend, I'll leave the peerless lightning god array to you. Lei Jia and I will go in to save them." Lei Yu instructed Zhuo Wen in a serious tone. Holding the array flag in his hand, he stepped into the unparalleled lightning god array with Lei Jia. None the purple lightning in the peerless lightning god array attacked indiscriminately. Therefore, Zi Long, Zi Yong, Zi Lian, and Zi Exen, who was on the verge of death, were all attacked by the purple lightning. At this moment, their condition was extremely bad. Fortunately, Lei Jia and Lei Yu arrived in time. They had the corresponding array flags in their hands. Therefore, the peerless lightning god array didn't attack them, allowing them to quickly reach Zi Long and the others. "Don't even think about saving them." The youth's eyes were ruthless. He jumped out of the black god ship. His body was surrounded by dazzling starlight, blocking all the purple lightning around him. Then he rushed toward Lei Jia, Lei Yu, and the others as fast as lightning. Large outside the array, Zhuowen's lips curled into a mocking smile. He said to himself faintly, "It's time to let you taste the true power of the peerless lightning god array." After saying that, Yuan waved the array flag in his hand. It drew a beautiful trajectory in the void. The grand formation that was originally only capable of releasing purple lightning suddenly changed its aura. Then, one after another, incomparably gigantic purple lightning giants rose from the ground and flew toward the young man without any fear of death. At the same time, the purple lightning in the array began to turn black. Moreover, the number of lightning bolts became larger and denser, enveloping everyone in the array. The skinny man and the other three, who were still struggling to hold on, screamed unwillingly and turned into ashes in the black thunderstorm. Fei Pengze was trembling all over. His face was pale. He immediately turned the black god ship into a black egg, wrapped him up, and hid at the edge of the array. The Thunder God Phantoms held all kinds of thunder weapons and launched fierce attacks on the youth without any regard for their lives. Nian's face finally changed. He realized that this was not an ordinary third sky of Eternal Realm array. It was much more terrifying than the ordinary third sky of Eternal Realm arrays he had seen before. The youth had just blocked the attacks of several Thunder God Phantoms in front of him. Suddenly, several Thunder God Phantoms attacked him from behind and bombarded his back. The youth spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell from the air in a sorry state and hit the ground heavily. Due to his powerful strength, most of the attacks were offset by the dazzling starlight surrounding him. Green Yen knew that he couldn't hold back anymore. Otherwise, he would really die in this strange array. I didn't expect to be forced to use my full strength so soon. Damn it, the plan can't keep up with the changes. Yen sighed. He stood up again. The starlight around him became more dazzling and blazing. With a loud rumble, an incomparably huge starlight world appeared in the void behind him. This starlight world was oval in shape. Inside it were bright stars, blooming with eternal starlight. Below the starlight world was a giant with a terrifying physique. He held the starlight world with both hands and slowly stood up, causing the starlight world to rise. At this moment, the youth's momentum became completely different. Chapter 4365. Boom, boom, boom. When the starlight world was lifted up by the giant, the young man's aura changed completely. He became more powerful and terrifying, like a butterfly breaking out of a cocoon and becoming a completely different person. When the surrounding Thunder God Phantoms attacked again, the young man snorted and rolled up his sleeves. The giant behind him held up the starlight world with both hands and swung it in all directions. The vast starlight world was blooming with resplendent starlight as it swept over. The specks of starlight emitted a piercing cold light. Under the influence of the starlight world, the invincible Thunder God Phantoms were repelled and couldn't get close to the young man. Is this the power of the reverse ancient starlight world? Zhuan silently looked at the starlight world behind the young man and the giant holding it up, his eyes revealing a look of understanding. The moment he saw the starlight world and the giant, Zhuan thought of the universe world and the cosmic law idol. The starlight world of the reverse ancient starlight world was an evolved version of the universe world, and the giant was similar to the cosmic law idol, but more powerful. XDW8 It seemed that the reverse ancient starlight world should have perfectly integrated the characteristics of the universe tribulation and the cosmic law idol, forming a new powerful vision. This vision was called the reverse ancient starlight. The reverse ancient starlight world was the manifestation of the unique power of the reverse ancient starlight world, including the starlight world and the celestial giant. Since the fall of the seven emotions, six desires Saint Lord, his reverse ancient starlight world was no longer complete. His celestial giant was annihilated with his fall, leaving only the starlight world. Unfortunately, although this person's cultivation is also at the reverse ancient starlight world, the gap between him and the seven emotions, six desires Saint Lord is too big. Zhuan secretly shook his head. He had come into contact with the starlight world of the 7 emotions 6 desires Saint Lord and could clearly feel the huge gap between the two. There was no doubt that the young man was only at the early stage of the reverse ancient starlight world, while the 7 emotions 6 desires Saint Lord was at the peak of the reverse ancient starlight world. The two couldn't be compared at all. His peerless thunder god array was at the peak of the third sky of the eternal realm. Although it might not be able to trap the peak of the reverse ancient starlight world, it was more than enough to trap this person. Just as Zhuan was deep in thought, the young man unleashed his prowess. The starlight world hanging above his head emitted dazzling starlight that rained down like a meteor shower. Under the stimulation of the starlight, the aura of the celestial form giant became more and more terrifying. Then, it strode forward and engaged in a fierce battle with the surrounding phantoms of the Thunder God, suppressing all the phantoms of the Thunder God in one fell swoop. One after another, the Thunder God's phantoms dimmed under the bombardment. They looked like they were about to collapse at any moment. However, Zhuan did not panic. The true power of the peerless Thunder God formation had yet to be fully unleashed. Zhuan glanced at Lei Jia, Lei Yu, and the others who had successfully left the formation. The smile on his face became even colder. Zhuan's hand seals suddenly changed, and the aura of the peerless lightning god array suddenly became much more stagnant. The silhouettes of the Thunder God, which had been completely suppressed by the giant celestial form, collapsed one after another. The strange thunderbolts around the entire formation also vanished in the blink of an eye. The huge peerless lightning god array seemed to have suddenly stopped at this moment. The young man raised his eyebrows. His long and narrow eyes fell on Zhuan, who was outside the formation. He said coldly, "Are you at your wits' end?" Zhuan did not answer. His hands suddenly formed the last seal, causing the young man's face to change abruptly. The originally quiet and strange formation was once again filled with terrifying purple thunderbolts. The rolling purple thunderbolts seemed to be attracted by some kind of force, and were attracted to the center of the formation. They constantly condensed and shrank, and turned into a beating heart. However, this heart was purely formed by purple thunderbolts in a strange way. The sound of the heart beating resounded between heaven and earth. Moreover, every time it resounded, it would increase the pressure in the surroundings, causing everything in the surroundings to be unable to breathe. The young man's heart was beating extremely fast. He had an extremely ominous premonition in his mind. The source of the ominous feeling was this strange heart that was purely formed by purple thunderbolts. "I must destroy this heart." The young man's face was extremely serious. Although he did not know what this heart would eventually evolve into, he knew that if he did not take action, this heart would cause a very serious impact and damage to him. The young man made a prompt decision. He drove the Starlight World and Giant Celestial to launch the fiercest attack on the purple thunderbolt heart. However, to the young man's horror, the heart began to grow stronger. Even if the Starlight World and Giant Celestial did their best, they still could not stop this heart from growing stronger. Zhuan silently watched everything that happened in the peerless lightning god array, and his heart was full of sneers. This heart was the core of the peerless lightning god array. As time passed, the heart would continue to absorb purple thunderbolts, condense flesh and bones, and eventually turn into a real lightning god. Once the lightning god was formed, even the middle stage or late stage ancient starlight experts may not be able to stop it, let alone this young man who was only at the early stage ancient starlight stage. The moment the young man failed to attack the heart, Zhuan already knew that the former's ending was doomed. The moment the purple thunderbolt heart was formed, it was the weakest moment. The young man could not even destroy the purple thunderbolt heart at its weakest moment, so it was basically impossible for him to do anything else. When the lightning god was finally formed, the young man would die. Zhuan did not pay any more attention to the young man. In his opinion, the young man was undoubtedly dead. His gaze fell on Lei Yu and Lei Jia, who had already arrived in front of him. At this moment, the two of them brought the wounded Zi Long, Zi Yong, Zi Lian and Zi Xen to Zhuan's side. In particular, Zi Xen's injuries were extremely serious. Not only were her physical injuries terrible, but even the foundation of her divine soul was damaged. At this moment, she was muddle-headed and her eyes were dull. "It's you. Why are you, a wanted criminal, here?" Because Yun had been staying in this remote alley, Zilong did not notice Juon after being rescued. Now, as soon as she entered the alley, she recognized Juon. Wasn't he the young demonic cultivator who was crazily wanted by them during this period of time? The two saintesses, Zilian and Ziyong, also looked at Juon vigilantly. Although they had never seen Juon, they had seen Juon's portrait. At a glance, they recognized that the young man in front of them was exactly the same as the wanted criminal's portrait drawn by Zilong Slap. However, as soon as Zilong finished speaking, she felt a strong wind sweeping over and fiercely landing on her cheek. The crisp sound of the slap was extremely ear-piercing. Zilong covered her burning right cheek. Bright blood even flowed out from the corner of her mouth. It could be seen how heavy the slap was. Chapter 4366. Hun slowly withdrew his right hand and said indifferently, "For the sake of Lei Yu and Lei Jia, I can let bygones be bygones. But if you still dare to say that I'm a wanted criminal, then don't blame me for being rude. You've got some guts. I'm Zilong, the third saintess of the Zixien clan. How dare you hit me? Do you believe that I won't let you leave Zixien's sacred city?" Zilong almost screamed, her voice sharp and ear-piercing. Slap. Another crisp sound of a slap completely covered Zilong's sharp cry. "You have to pay the price for speaking without thinking." Jun slowly withdrew his right hand and looked coldly at Zilong, who was covering her cheek. Zilong finally sobered up a little. She covered her cheek and looked at Juon with resentment and said, "If I wasn't seriously injured and didn't have any extra strength, you wouldn't have the right to be arrogant now." Zilong knew that Juon's cultivation was only at the great tribulation of heaven and earth. In her opinion, Juon was taking advantage of her to slap her several times. XW8 if she wasn't injured, then he wouldn't have the chance to be arrogant. Slap. "Did I let you speak?" Juon gave him another backhand slap. Slap. "When I'm talking, are you qualified to interrupt?" Juon slapped her again. Finally, Zilong was completely frightened by Juon and didn't dare to make a sound. She just covered her cheek and stared at Juon in shock and anger. "Lei Jia, Lei Yu, what are you waiting for? Help me take down this man. He simply doesn't care about the Zixien clan and Zixien's sacred city. This man must be eliminated to be at peace." Zilong was very dissatisfied with the silent Lei Yu and Lei Jia. "Third Saintess, I think you misunderstood. This is Mo1. He is your savior. If it weren't for him, you would have died in the hands of that man." Lei Jia finally spoke. She pointed at the young man who was still trapped in the peerless lightning god array and spoke in a very impolite tone. She had long disliked Zilong. Now that things had come to this Zilong was still so impulsive. Was she really brainless? "Third Saintess, Patriarch Lei Jia seems to be right. Look, this kid is controlling the formation to trap the enemy and create an opportunity for us to escape." Fifth Saintess Zilian suddenly thought of something and said, she and Ziyong were not blind. They knew exactly what had happened earlier. Coupled with the fact that the divine warship had been attacked as scheduled, they were beginning to realize that Zilong's previous judgment had been completely wrong, including the fact that she had placed a bounty on this young demonic cultivator. They even began to suspect that Zilong had been deceiving them all this while, which led to such a huge mistake. At the same time, they couldn't help but recall the words of the great saintess. They now understood that the great saintess was right. This person must be in cahoots with that person. The two of them are just putting on an act to gain our trust and use it to carry out some kind of conspiracy. Zilong's eyes were full of resentment. She shouted at the top of her lungs. She couldn't be wrong. "Saintess Zilong, please conduct yourself with dignity. If it weren't for nephew Mo1, you would have died. How could you be as lively as you are now? Not only are you ungrateful, but you also want to slander him. Don't go too far." Lei Jia couldn't stand it anymore and scolded coldly. Lei Yu, Jiao Yuan and Qin Yin's faces were also very ugly. Zilong was really too much. She had reached the point where she couldn't distinguish between black and white. Did I beg him to save me? And with my strength, I can get out of here soon. Him saving me is just superfluous. Zilong said shamelessly. Lei Jia and others were trembling with anger. Ziyong and Zilian also couldn't stand it anymore. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that Zilong and the others were already at the end of their rope. If Yun and others hadn't rescued them in time, they would have died. Zilong, on the other hand, blamed Zhuowen for his superfluous action. People could be so shameless. Huan was not surprised. As early as the first time he came into contact with Zilong, Yuan already knew what kind of person she was. Arguing with her was simply looking for trouble. Suddenly, Zhuowen's face changed greatly. In that instant, he felt an extremely dangerous dark and cold aura, like a poisonous snake rushing up from the soles of his feet to his Tianling acupoint. The terrifying cold filled his limbs and bones, even deep into his bone marrow, and reached the depths of his soul. His movements became extremely slow, and his reaction became much slower, as if he was playing in slow motion. Zhuowen turned his head with difficulty and found that Lei Jia, Zilong and others were frozen. Their expressions were frozen for a moment and completely still. Enemy attack. In an instant, Zhuowen understood that they had been attacked by some kind of strange power. If it weren't for Zhuowen's soul being really strong, his end might have been the same as Lei Jia and others. His body and soul would have been frozen in an instant. Zhuowen quietly operated the immemorial primordial chant and completely dispelled the cold feeling in the depths of his soul. His limbs and bones also recovered a lot. After recovering, Zhuowen did not act rashly. Instead, he observed silently. This person could secretly make everyone present fall into the trap. It could be seen that this person must be a defying ancient starlight expert. Zhuowen guessed that this person was likely to be stronger than the youth trapped in the peerless thunder god array. He was probably a defying ancient starlight expert. Sure enough, Zhuowen didn't have to wait for long. He perceived that the cold breath in the surroundings had become more and more intense, as if the surroundings had suddenly become an icehouse with extremely low temperature. The crisp and lazy footsteps were getting closer and closer, passing by Lei Jia, Zilong and others, but stopped beside Zhuowen for a moment. Zhuowen still maintained the same expression as before, as if he was frozen by the strange cold aura like Lei Jia and the others. But in his heart, he was vigilant to the extreme. If this person attacked him, Yun would not hesitate to fight back. To Zhuowen's relief, the footsteps sounded again. Finally, the person passed by Zhuowen and walked towards the peerless thunder god array. Zhuowen unconsciously glanced at the owner of the clear and lazy footsteps and discovered that it was the back of a woman with a graceful figure. She was wearing a tight-fitting black leather jacket that outlined her full and alluring figure, causing people to be lost in fanciful thoughts. At this moment, the youth in the peerless thunder god array was being suppressed by the thunder god. He was spitting blood and was in a very difficult situation. The youth's starlight world and celestial giant were even dimmer under the attack of the thunder god, as if they would collapse at any time. Luoya, you finally came. Quickly help me out, I can't hold on any longer. The youth shouted for help. The woman named Luoya looked at the youth mockingly and said, "Hey Fa, you can't even deal with a few cosmic manifestation experts. Don't you feel ashamed?" Hey Fa's face was gloomy and said, "If it weren't for this strange and powerful array, I would have already destroyed this group of trash." Chapter 4367. This aura is so powerful. This formation is actually at the peak of the third heavenly layer of the eternal realm. This level of formation isn't something I can break. Luoya frowned slightly. Hey Fa said anxiously, "Don't play dumb with me. With the power of your inverse ancient star form, it's easy for you to take me out." Luoya looked in the direction of the inner city and said indifferently, "Well, we really don't have much time." After saying that, Luoya's aura suddenly changed. A huge inverse ancient star form appeared in the void behind her. Luoya's inverse ancient star form was also formed by a huge starlight world and an astral giant. Luoya's astral giant was more feminine, while her starlight world was softer, but there was a creepy feeling in the depths. As soon as Luoya's inverse ancient star form appeared, the surrounding temperature dropped rapidly, as if it had entered a cold winter. The creepy feeling was even more intense, like an all-pervasive poisonous snake that could drill into the depths of one's bones at any time, constantly gnawing on one's flesh, blood, bones, and even soul. Luoya gently waved her snow-white hand. The astral giant behind her knelt on the ground with one knee, holding the starlight world with both hands, sprinkling down bits of starlight. The starlight was more like cold ice fragments. As soon as it landed on the ground, it froze and cracked small holes in the ground. While under the influence of these strange ice fragments, Luoya's entire body became more transparent. Looking from afar, she looked more like a transparent ice sculpture. Luoya. At this moment, Luoya moved. She gently took a step forward with her right foot and stepped into the edge of the unparalleled lightning god formation. What Luoya thought was that the rainstorm-like endless purple lightning in the unparalleled lightning god formation couldn't cause any harm to her. The moment the purple lightning landed on Luoya's body, it was as if it had touched air, directly passing through her body. Originally, Zhuowen, who was standing not far away and pretending to be frozen, naturally saw this scene. His pupils couldn't help but shrink. As expected, this Luoya wasn't simple. Her ancient defying celestial phenomenon was very unique. It was actually able to transform her body into some sort of spiritual body, allowing her to ingeniously avoid the attacks of the violet lightning that descended from the peerless thunder god formation. A short while later, Luoya arrived beside He-Fa and grabbed his arm with her jade-like hands. Here at this moment, Black Fa was in an extremely sorry state. He had just been sent flying by the thunder god's punch and heavily smashed into the ground. Boom, boom. At that instant, the god of thunder did not stop. He walked over with large strides and raised his enormous foot high. Then he ruthlessly stomped down on He-Fa, who was on the ground, as well as Luoya, who was beside him. Whole countless thunderous booms rang out in the air. The thunder god's kick was extremely powerful. If it landed on He-Fa's body, even if He-Fa didn't die, he would at least lose a layer of skin. By thunder god Yu's speed was too fast. Just as Black Fa got up and grabbed Luoya's jade-like hand, the giant foot fell from above his head. The ground cracked open, and a small crater appeared. Rolling purple thunderbolts swept through the crater like waves. Thunder. After the god of thunder god raised his foot, he found that He-Fa and Luoya were still alive and kicking. They didn't seem to be injured at all. Let's go. My secret technique won't last for long. Don't waste time. Luoya held He-Fa's hand and quickly left the crater. She rushed out of the formation. The god of thunder chased after them. He controlled the endless purple thunderbolts in the formation to form obstacles one after another. He wanted to use them to stop Luoya and Luoya's footsteps. However, Luoya and He-Fa seemed to have turned into air. The purple thunderbolts around them directly passed through them. They couldn't hurt them at all. When the two of them completely left the peerless thunder god formation, the god of thunder in the formation roared angrily. Then, he turned into endless purple thunderbolts and disappeared into the core of the formation. Clang. After the two of them successfully left the peerless thunder god formation, Luoya's face was slightly pale. It was obvious that the secret technique just now had taken a toll on her. Chua. When Xian, on the other hand, sank to the bottom. Luoya's technique was too strange. He had been observing it all along, but he couldn't see what the original form of Luoya's ability was. If he were to face this ability, he would probably be like the peerless thunder god formation. He wouldn't be able to cause any harm to Luoya at all. Luoya, thank you. If it weren't for you, I would have died in this formation. He-Fa said. His eyes were filled with lingering fear. His cold gaze fell on Zhuowen, who wasn't far away. He was filled with killing intent. What are you doing? Luoya saw He-Fa walking straight toward Zhuowen. She couldn't help but stop him and ask. This strange formation is controlled by this kid. I was almost killed by him. Do you think I can take this lying down? He-Fa said with a murderous look. Since you've already gotten the key, go to the core of the inner city immediately. Otherwise, when the two bitches from the Zishuan clan get the news, they'll definitely ask those old guys from the super regions for help. Once the experts from the super regions get involved, we won't have a chance. Luo Ye warned. Luo Ye reminded him coldly and continued, moreover, they've all been hit by my extreme yin qi. They won't be able to live for long. They'll die eventually. Why should we waste our time on these ants? He Fa snorted coldly. He stared at Zhuan with a sinister look. Then he reluctantly left with Luo Ye and rushed toward the core of the inner city. Not long after they left, Zhuan tore off his disguise after confirming that there was no danger. He looked in the direction that Luo Ye and He Fa left. He didn't plan to chase after them, nor did he have any intention of informing the Zishuan clan. He had already warned the Zishuan clan unconditionally. It could be said that he had done everything he could. If it wasn't for the fact that the divine warship wasn't destroyed, he wouldn't even bother to remind the Zishuan clan. Zhuan came to Lei Jia, Lei Yu, and the others. He found that their bodies were surrounded by the strange yin qi. At this moment, they were in an extremely dangerous situation. Zhuan used the power of the primordial chaos technique to help Lei Jia, Lei Yu, Jiu Yuan, and Chen Yin dissolve the yin qi on their bodies. Clang. After Zhuan dealt with the four people's yin qi, he found that the three saintesses, Zi Long, Zi Yong, and Zi Lian, who were standing not far away, had all awakened. It seemed that the three saintesses also kept their own trump cards. Otherwise, it would be impossible for them to dissolve the yin qi's invasion in such a short period of time. After Zi Yong and Zi Lian regained their mobility, they helped the dying Zi Xen dissolve the yin qi. Zi Yong Long, on the other hand, glanced at Zhuowen in surprise. Clearly, she found it inconceivable that Zhuowen could also dispel the powerful cold aura. Boom! Boom! At the same time, an extremely terrifying explosion came from the direction of the core of the inner city. An extremely terrifying battle was taking place there. In the sky above the core of the inner city, there were three huge inverse ancient celestial bodies confronting each other. Chapter 4368. Not good, they have invaded the core inner city. That is Zi Qiongdren's defying ancient star form. Has Zi Qiongdren been forced to come out? Zi Long looked at the terrifying battle in the core inner city, and her face finally changed. Zi Qiong is one of the two female masters of the Zi Xian clan. Her strength is extremely good. She is a middle stage defying ancient star light stage powerhouse. Zi Qiong, as a female master, has been in seclusion for a long time. She often leaves Zi Xian's sacred city and her whereabouts are erratic. She rarely appears in person. Now Zi Qiong is forced to come out in person, and Zi Long and others also understand the seriousness of the matter. Lei Jia, Lei Yu, now Zi Xian's sacred city is in a great disaster. As a member of the Leisian clan, you are bound to our Zi Xian clan for good or ill. We need your help. Take that big array and come with me to the core inner city. Zi Long suddenly looked at Lei Jia and Lei Yu and used an unquestionable tone to order. Lei Jia, Lei Yu, Jiu Yuan, and Chen Yin frowned. They didn't like Zi Long's behavior. He, the Leisian clan, and their Zi Xian clan are in a cooperative relationship, not a master-servant relationship. Zi Long is only the third holy maiden. She doesn't have such a big right to order their Leisian clan. But what Zi Long said is not wrong. Their Leisian clan and Zi Xian clan are indeed bound together for good or ill. If Zi Xian clan is in trouble, their Leisian clan can't stand alone. Third Saintess. This array is called the Peerless Divine Lightning Array. It wasn't set up by us, but by nephew Mowen. Lei Jia and I are controlling it together, but we are unable to unleash its full power. Only nephew Mowen can unleash its full power, Lei Yu said indifferently. Zilong frowned slightly. She looked coldly at Zhuowen and said in a deep voice, "You are called Mowen, right? Then you take this big array and come with us to the core inner city." Mowen sneered at Zilong, who took it for granted, and said indifferently, "Why should I help your Zi Xian clan? I still remember that I kindly reminded you that there would be an enemy attack, but what did you do? You're going to arrest me without any reason? Now that your Zishuan clan is in trouble, you want me to help you? Aren't you thinking too highly of yourself? Let me ask you, who do you think you are?" Zilong was so angry that she was trembling. She said gloomily, I didn't say that I would let you help me for free. As long as you help the Z Shen clan this time, you will gain the friendship of the Z Shen clan, and your arrest warrant will be removed immediately. When sneered in his heart, Z Long's arrest warrant for him was originally unjust, causing him to be wanted for no reason. Now, in Z Long's mouth, removing the arrest warrant had instead become a kind of reward. It was truly laughable to the extreme. Get lost. I'm not a member of your Z Shen clan. If you dare to be long-winded again, I'll kill you right now. Luan flicked his sleeves and left without even looking at Zilong. You will regret this. Zilong's eyes were filled with hatred as she shouted. Third Saintess, you're going a bit too far. Honorable nephew Mo1 is your savior, yet you're treating him like this. It's really disappointing. Lei Jia refuted Zilong without any trace of politeness. Yet Zilong was indifferent, and she said indifferently, he's just an itinerant cultivator without any background. It's his honor that I asked him to help, yet he's actually so arrogant. Once the crisis of Zixin Holy City passes, he'll have to die as well. Lei Jia, Lei Yu and others showed disgust in their eyes. They didn't even think about it. They put away the peerless thunder god array and followed Zhuoan in the direction of his departure. Where are you going? Zilong's face changed slightly. Nephew Mo1 is our friend, and you treat our friend like this, which is also an indirect insult to our Thunder Array clan. Since your Zixin clan is so powerful, I'm afraid our Thunder Array clan can't help. Lei Yu said a sentence without looking back, and took Lei Jia, the Jiao Yuan and Chen Yin away. I really don't know what I'm talking about. The Thunder Array clan is looking for death. I must punish them afterwards. Zilong snorted coldly. Enough. Zilong, are you done yet? Who exactly is the one who caused today's disaster? Could it be that you still haven't realized it? It's you, it's all your fault. Therefore, Ziyong, who was standing on the side, couldn't help but scold Zilong loudly. Her delicate face was red and her eyes were full of hatred. Thus, originally we could still save it. As long as we win over Lei Jia, Lei Yu and others of the Thunder Array clan, relying on the peerless Thunder God Array, we can make up for our crimes. You actually drove all of them away in anger. How far will you harm us before you stop? Zi Lian also said angrily. Two holy maidens Zixin had already woken up, but because of her serious injuries, she was supported by Zi Yong and Zi Lian. Although she didn't speak, it could be seen from her eyes that she was full of resentment toward Zilong. How can you do this? I did this for our own good, and to maintain the dignity of our Zixin clan. Zilong's heart was in a state of panic as she retorted. For our own good? I think it's all for your own selfish reasons. You didn't do it to protect the dignity of the Zixin clan. You just want to protect your own pitiful and lowly self-esteem. For your own selfish reasons, you dragged all of us down. You really make us sick. Ziyong said resentfully. Let's go back and find the Great Holy Maiden. With the Great Holy Maiden's relationship with Lei Jia, there might still be a chance to turn things around. Also, we must expose Zilong's crimes. All of this was caused by her, and it has nothing to do with us. Ziyong didn't even look at Zilong. After speaking to Zi Lian and Zixin, both of them agreed. Zilong's expression changed greatly. Looking at the backs of Ziyong and the other two leaving in a hurry, she felt powerless. She knew that she was done for. If the three holy maidens pushed the blame to her, she wouldn't be able to defend herself even if she tried to argue. When Ziyong and the other two entered the core inner city, they discovered that the Great City Barrier Array had already been activated. Only, however, the huge Great City Barrier Array didn't cause much damage to the three people fighting inside. The Great City Barrier Array was even full of cracks from the aftermath of the three people's battle, and it was about to collapse at any time. Under the influence of the battle, most of the originally neat and orderly inner city had turned into ruins. Many of the Zixin clan's clansmen had died inside. At this moment, the Great Holy Maiden was stopping the few cultivators in the inner city from moving the surviving clansmen. Great Holy Maiden, we know our mistakes. Please punish us. Zi Yong and the other two hurriedly walked to the Great Holy Maiden, Ziyuan, and knelt on the ground, sincerely expressing their apologies. Ziyuan looked at the three of them indifferently and asked, "Where is the third holy maiden, Zilong?" When it came to Zilong, Ziyong and the other two became extremely agitated. They kept recounting Zilong's crimes and how they were blinded by Zilong's instigation. In any case, in their mouths, everything was Zilong's fault, and they were actually the victims. The great holy maiden, Ziyuan, looked deeply at Ziyong and the other two, but didn't say anything. Instead, she said indifferently, "Moving the clansmen is more important now. Lord Ziqiong has already blocked 2 invaders. After moving all the surviving clansmen, we will also join the battle and help Lord Ziqiong." Chapter 4369. Near the divine worship, a black shadow slowly emerged from the darkness. Upon closer inspection, the black shadow was actually a round black egg. There were complicated patterns on the surface of the egg, and it was currently emitting a faint glow. Crack, sweet, sweet. Suddenly, the black egg emitted a soft sound similar to the sound of metal rubbing against each other. The black egg slowly unfolded and a wretched figure slowly crawled out from the core of the egg. The figure spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was extremely pale and there was still lingering fear in his eyes. "Phew! I almost died. I didn't expect this formation to be so powerful. If it wasn't for the Black God, I wouldn't even be left with dregs." The figure was a middle-aged man. He had a bitter smile on his face as he muttered to himself, "Looks like Lord Blacklaw and the others have already started to move. I'd better leave quickly." The middle-aged man looked at the terrifying battle in the inner city and his eyes were filled with fear. His body trembled slightly and he planned to leave this place. "Where do you plan to go, Fei Pengze?" Just as the middle-aged man was about to escape, an indifferent voice suddenly rang out. Fei Pengze's pupils shrank to the size of needles. He quickly turned around and looked in the direction of the divine worship behind him. He saw a young demonic cultivator with demonic aura around him and scarlet eyes walking over leisurely. You didn't leave?" Fei Pengze exclaimed. Fei Pengze looked at the young demonic cultivator walking over slowly. His eyes narrowed slightly as he heaved a sigh of relief. If it was Zilong, Ziyong, or the others who had returned, he might be a little afraid. However, it was just a young demonic cultivator with a low cultivation. Not only was he not afraid, but he was also very glad. The light demonic cultivator was Zhuan, who had returned after leaving. When the peerless thunder god formation was wreaking havoc, everyone's attention was focused on the Black Law and neglected Fei Pengze. Later, the black egg that Fei Pengze was in disappeared into thin air. Everyone subconsciously thought that Fei Pengze had vanished into thin air within the formation. None of this escaped Zhuowen's eyes. He had been paying attention to Fei Pengze for a long time, including his disappearance. His intuition told him that Fei Pengze's black god was definitely not as simple as it seemed. That was why he had used his argument with Zilong as an excuse to leave. Not long after he left, he quietly returned and waited for an opportunity near the divine ship. Sure enough, his guess was right. Fei Pengze was still alive. This black god ship is really incredible. It can actually blend into the darkness. Even if it's a starlight expert, if they don't observe carefully, they may not be able to detect the black god ship in the darkness. Wen's gaze landed on the black god ship. There was a trace of surprise and passion in his eyes. Black the divine ship was definitely the most unique and powerful divine ship he had ever seen. Such a divine ship was enough to match all the divine ships he had stored in the macro world. Fei Pengze narrowed his eyes and sneered, "What? You're still coveting my black god, but that's just wishful thinking." But Zhuan was indifferent and said coolly, "Very soon, the black god will be mine. Do I still need to covet it? To me, it's just something that I can easily obtain." You're just looking for death. You're just trash at the peak of the Qian Kuan tribulation. Without the help of the formation, how can you be my opponent? Just die." Fei Pengze roared. Pengze was furious. He was an expert at the mid-cosmic Dharma stage. He was several levels higher than Zhuan. Now, he was being looked down upon by Zhuan. Naturally, he was extremely unhappy. He decisively took out his cosmic dharma and launched a thunderous attack at Jun. However, the moment Fei Pengze swept out, he immediately discovered that countless strange formation patterns had appeared around him. The dense array patterns were like slithering snakes, wrapping around him like a huge python that was about to strangle its prey. Formation? When did you set it up? Fei Pengze asked. Pengze's limbs were all bound by the formation patterns. He looked at the young demonic cultivator in front of him in horror. Only, the young demonic cultivator gently stretched out his right hand. There was a flash of lightning in his palm, and the formation patterns were surging out from it. While you were talking nonsense, I had already finished setting up my attack array. I've been waiting for you to make a move. Unfortunately, you've been talking too much. I'm getting a little impatient. Zhu smiled and grinned. He had the Thunder Origin Formation Diagram and was a divine array master at the third heaven of the Eternal Realm. Therefore, he only needed half a breath to set up the early stage third heaven of the Eternal Realm. Impossible. How long has it been? And this is an attack formation at the third heaven of the Eternal Realm. Even if you're a divine array master at the third heaven of the Eternal Realm, it's impossible to set up such a formation in such a short time. Fei Pengze's face was full of disbelief. He almost screamed out loud. Then you can ask on your way to the underworld. Zhuan's tone was calm. He clenched his right hand into a fist and exerted a little force. Fei Pengze's eyes suddenly bulged. He could clearly feel the power of the formation patterns around his body multiplying in an instant. What? He could only watch helplessly as his body was continuously squeezed and crushed by the runes until he finally lost all consciousness. Zhuan looked expressionlessly at Fei Pengze, who was being crushed by the formation. With a wave of his sleeve, he put away the formation around him. He was more and more satisfied with the Thunder Origin Formation Diagram. Now, he only needed half a breath to set up the early stage third heaven of the Eternal Realm. Namely, even the early stage third heaven of the Eternal Realm only needed 10 breaths. Until early stage and early stage third heaven of the Eternal Realm might take a lot of time. Zhuan slowly came to the side of the black egg and gently placed his right palm on its surface. He could clearly feel the aura left by Fei Pengze gradually disappearing. He carefully examined it and found that the black god was still damaged to a certain extent, but it was not particularly serious and did not affect its important functions. Zhuafterwen put the black god into the macro world. He handed it to Xiao He and asked him to repair it. Only yes, to Zhuowen's speechlessness, Xiao He's first reaction when he saw the black god was to eat it. He, the sacred fire in the G.O.D. was extremely tempting to Xiao He. For this reason, he kept whispering in Zhuowen's ear, which made Zhuowen very annoyed. If Zhuowen didn't value the role of the black god, he really intended to give it to Xiao He to devour, but not now. Little seeing Zhuowen so insistent, He no longer pestered him and agreed to repair the black god. After receiving the black god, Yuan found the figures of Lei Jia and Lei Yu. The two of them passed through the air and headed for the inner city. While Jiao came to Zhuowen under Zhuowen's notice. Jiao Yuan, are your grandmother and your great-grandfather going to the inner city to help? Zhuowen asked calmly. Jiao Yuan smiled bitterly and said, yes, my grandmother has a very good relationship with the great saintess Si Yuan. This time, the great saintess asked her, so she didn't refuse. Master, you won't be unhappy, right? After all, the peerless Thunder God array is your. Jiyuan secretly glanced at Zhuowen and spoke very carefully, for fear of angering Zhuowen. Chapter 4370. The Peerless Thunder God formation was originally arranged by me for your Thunder Array clan. It is your Thunder Array clan's thing. I have no right to ask how you use it. Since this is Senior Lei Jia's decision, I won't say anything. Zhuowen smiled without blaming him and continued, Jiao Yuan, come with me, and we will arrange another Peerless Thunder God formation together. Are you going to? The Jiao Yuan was surprised. Looking at the young demonic cultivator in front of him, he didn't know what the latter was selling. But he didn't refuse. He now has blind worship for Zhuowen, and he basically won't refuse the latter's request. Bumbu. The battle in the inner city of Sacred Jade City became more and more terrifying. Starlight shone, as if the end of the world had come. But wherever the starlight passed, the buildings in the inner city were all turned into decadent ruins. This Ziqiang is really difficult to deal with. Her strength is not weaker than mine, and the city protection array of this inner city has a bonus effect on her. Luo Ye was suspended in the void, and behind her, a huge celestial giant was holding up the starlight world. Her pair of beautiful eyes stared solemnly at the woman who was also suspended in the air in front of her. The woman was dressed in a purple robe with waist-length purple hair, wearing a crown of hazy starlight and a pair of starry eyes, mysterious and dazzling like two stars. Her appearance was not outstanding, but it was extremely pleasant to look at, and after looking at it for a long time, it gave people a strange feeling of holiness. There is no doubt that she is a woman with a very good taste. She is Ziqiang, one of the two female supremes of the Zixuan clan. She is also at the middle stage of the inverse ancient starlight stage. Blackfa's eyes were gloomy, and there was still congealed blood hanging from the corner of his mouth. His face was pale and bloodless. He had been seriously injured in the Peerless Thunder God formation, and now he is facing Ziqiang, who is stronger than him. Naturally, he is not feeling good. Blackfa, don't you know the specific location of the sacred fire source? I will hold Ziqiang, you go and take out the sacred fire source. Luo Ye's beautiful eyes were serious, and she said to Blackfa. Blackfa looked at Ziqiang opposite him and said, "Then you be careful." After that, Blackfa bypassed Ziqiang and swept towards the depths of the inner city. Ziqiang saw Blackfa's action and immediately knew the intention of the latter. Her beautiful eyes were cold, and she swept Blackfa as fast as lightning. However, Ziqiang was blocked by Luo Ye the moment she shot out. Ziqiang's your opponent, don't get the wrong persons. Ye smiled charmingly, but her movements were extremely ruthless, firmly entangling Ziqiang. Luo Ye, don't go. Isn't your Luotian clan afraid that those lords of the transcendent world will blame you? Ziqiang was flustered and exasperated. Her cultivation was similar to Luo Ye's. Although she had the advantage with the help of the Great City Barrier formation, it was not an overwhelming advantage. Luo Ye wanted to stop her, but she couldn't get away for a while. Ziqiang, don't think that I don't know that the Zixuan clan's rise to power is based on the fact that you're using women as bargaining chips in exchange for the support of the Supreme Domain Lords. But in reality, that's just fake news that you're deliberately misleading us. The reason why you can obtain the support of those Supreme Domain Lords is because you have the sacred fire source. As long as our Luotian clan obtains the sacred fire source, your Zixuan clan will have no value in cooperating with us. Those Supreme Domain Lords will naturally cooperate with our Luotian clan. At that time, do you think those Supreme Domain Lords will have nothing better to do than to deal with our Luotian clan? After all, to them, it doesn't matter which clan they cooperate with. As long as their benefits aren't harmed, they won't reject our Luotian clan. Luo Ye's lips curled up. Her hands shot out like lightning, and terrifying attacks landed on Ziqiang mercilessly, doing her best to obstruct Ziqiang's advance. Ziqiang was enraged. She used all her abilities, but she was still unable to break free from Luo Ye's control. She could only watch as Blackfa entered the depths of the inner city. When Blackfa rushed into a palace in the depths of the inner city, the holy maiden Ziyuan led the other 3 holy maidens and blocked Blackfa's path. The 4 of you still want to block me? Are you courting death? Blackfa narrowed his eyes. Coldness and impatience could be seen in his eyes. The sacred fire source is the foundation of our Zixuan clan. We will protect it even if we die. The holy maiden Ziyuan stood out. Her eyes were filled with determination. Ziqiang, Exin, Ziyong, and Zilian's beautiful eyes flickered. There was fear in their eyes. Ziqiang. They were just heavily injured by Blackfa and almost died in his hands. Now that they had to face him again, they couldn't help but feel helpless. If it wasn't for the holy maiden's orders, they would have fled long ago. Blackfa didn't waste time talking nonsense with the holy maiden and the others. He knew that time was of the essence now. He couldn't waste any more time with these holy maidens. Scram! Black Fa roared. He instantly took out his heaven-defying ancient constellation and stepped out. Dense astral light revolved around him, causing him to be like a heavenly god descending to the mortal world, exuding an extraordinary might. Holy Maiden Ziyuan wasn't afraid at all. She was already half a step into the heaven-defying ancient starlight realm, and her strength was the strongest among the 5 holy maidens. She believed that if she joined forces with the other 3 holy maidens, they should be able to stop Black Fa for a while. However, the moment Ziyuan attacked, she immediately sensed that something was wrong. She realized that Zixian, Ziyong and Zilian didn't attack. She couldn't help but look behind her, only to find that the 3 of them had all fallen to the ground. Behind the 3 of them stood a graceful young woman. Zilong? What did you do? The moment Ziyuan saw the young woman, her expression changed. She said with a gloomy face, I only gave the 3 of them the god's corpse powder. At most, they will be unconscious for 3 days and 3 nights. And this period of time is enough for the 3 of them to die in the hands of this person. You will also die in his hands, and I will become the only holy maiden of the Zixuan clan. As long as you are all dead, you won't be able to tell the holy maiden, and I won't be punished. So, holy maiden, it's better for you to die and fulfill my wish. Zilong's eyes were red, and she had fallen into some kind of madness. She knew very well that Zixin and the other 2 must have already complained to the holy maiden, Ziyuan, and must have pushed all the blame onto her. None regardless of whether the Zixuan clan could withstand the enemy's attack this time, she would be punished, and it would be a serious crime. As long as the holy maiden and the others were all dead, no one would report her to the holy maiden, and she would become the only holy maiden. From then on, her power would dominate the court, and her status would be unshakable. Zilong, you lunatic, I'm going to clean up the clan today. Ziyuan was so angry that her chest heaved violently. She really didn't expect Zilong to ignore the overall situation. Just for her own selfish reasons, she would disregard the safety of the clan and kill them to silence them. Only yes, when Ziyuan was about to teach Zilong a lesson, Zilong was already prepared and retreated. At the same time, Black Fa's attack had arrived, forcing Ziyuan to turn around and deal with the aggressive Black Fa. Chapter 4371. Fa watched coldly. He looked at Zilong strangely. He really didn't expect Zilong to be so smart. She actually took the initiative to attack her own people. Your Zixuan clan is really declining. Even the chosen saintess is such a scum. The divine fire source is completely buried in your hands. You might as well give it to us. Fa's mouth curved into a mocking smile. He seized the opportunity and rushed toward Ziyuan, not giving her any chance to breathe at all. As for Zilong, Fa didn't care at all. She was such a scum who could betray her own clan. He couldn't wait to have more of her. How could he bear to kill her? Zilong took one last look at Ziyuan, who was vomiting blood after being beaten by Fa. She didn't dare to stay any longer and quietly left this place. 10 After a few breaths, Ziyuan's cosmic image completely collapsed, and the crisp sound of shattering resounded in the surroundings. Among the countless fragments and light spots of the cosmic form, Ziyuan fell from the sky like an angel with broken wings. She was in a sorry state. Bang! Ziyuan smashed a huge hole in the ground. Countless smoke and dust dissipated, and the surrounding vision became completely gray. Fa floated in the air. He didn't continue to attack. Instead, he rushed toward the palace where the divine fire source was hidden. Ziyuan was seriously injured and was no longer a threat. He was pressed for time, so he naturally wouldn't waste any more time on Ziyuan. It wouldn't be too late to kill Ziyuan after he took out the divine fire source. At not long after Fa entered the deepest palace, 2 more figures rushed in from outside the inner city. The 2 figures were careful not to get close to the battle between Ziqiong and Luoya. Instead, they circled around and finally came to the front of the deepest palace. These 2 figures were an old woman with white hair and an old man. They were Lei Jia and Lei Yu, who had received the request of the Saintess. "Saintess, are you okay?" Lei Jia quickly found the Saintess, Ziyuan, who was deeply injured in the pit not far away. She quickly ran over and helped her up. Ziyuan coughed continuously, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. Her face was as pale as snow. "Lei Jia, he is too strong. He is an expert at the early stage of the Ni ancient star-like realm. You should leave quickly. When he comes out, you won't be able to leave." "Great Saintess, I've brought the peerless lightning god array. His name is Hei Fa. Earlier he was trapped in the peerless divine lightning formation and almost died. If it wasn't for Luo Ya coming to save him, he would already be a corpse," Lei Jia said in a deep voice. A hopeful look appeared in Yuan's eyes. If the unparalleled Thunder Divine Matrix was really so powerful, perhaps Lei Jia and the others could really stop Hei Fa. However, the real person who set up the unparalleled Thunder God Array is someone else. His name is Imowen. If he is in charge, black magic will definitely be trapped. If we are in charge, the power of the array will be greatly reduced. Jia's eyes dimmed. Although she really wanted to ask for Zhuowen's help, Zilong had gone overboard. They did not have the face to ask for Zhuowen's help. "Then please ask fellow Taoist Imowen to help preside. Our Zishuan clan will definitely not treat him unfairly after this," Ziyuan hurriedly said. "He is the demonic cultivator wanted by the third Saintess. He is also the one who revealed the news of the attack to us. Unfortunately, the third Saintess drove him away in anger." Jia angrily recounted everything that had happened near the divine worship, including how Zilong had despised and even forced Zhuowen to do so. Perpeyuan's face darkened, and she almost cursed. Zilong was completely a hindrance to the Zishuan clan. She even wanted to kill the other 4 saintesses, including her, for her own selfish reasons. Ziyuan took a deep breath and tried to calm herself down. She said, "Lei Jia, Lei Yu, I beg you to help us this time. After this, I will definitely give you and Imowen justice. Zilong will not be able to escape the punishment of the clan's rules. I will not tolerate it." Lei Jia and Lei Yu were overjoyed. They had been unhappy with Zilong for a long time and were waiting for Ziyuan to say this. They set up a shielding formation nearby in advance, and then placed the Great Saintess and the other 3 saintesses who were in a coma inside. "My father and I will set up the Peerless Thunder God Array. As soon as Hei Fa comes out, we will activate the Peerless Thunder God Array to take him down." After Jia finished speaking, she walked outside the palace with Lei Yu. The 2 of them took out a disc array and made a complicated seal. According to the memory of the Peerless Thunder God Array in their minds, they constantly arranged and combined the dense array patterns that swept out of the disc array. Because the Peerless Thunder God Array was already formed in the disc array, it didn't take long for the 2 of them to set it up. In a quarter of an hour, the Peerless Thunder God Array was completely set up. Lei Yu put away his sleeve, and the Peerless Thunder God Array stopped, and a formation flag appeared in his hand. After doing this, Lei Jia and Lei Yu quietly came to the nearby shielding formation and silently observed the movements in the depths of the palace. 2 hours later, a black shadow swept out of the palace. Black Ying's body exuded a blazing red light. The moment he came out, a terrifying wave of air hit like an explosion and instantly spread throughout the entire Zishuan sacred city. It's the sacred fire source. Inside the shielding formation, the great Saintess Yuan saw the fiery red sacred fire source in the black shadow's hand at a glance. The terrifying heat and blazing red light were emitted from this sacred fire source. Hei Fa's right hand condensed most of the Ni Gu star's divine power, but his palm was still about to melt under the terrifying heat of the sacred fire source. And this was only a small part of the energy that was accidentally leaked by the sacred fire source. It's worthy of being the source of the sacred fire source. The energy that escapes can cause such great damage to me. Hei Fa completely ignored his right palm that was about to melt, and his eyes were full of excitement. With this sacred fire source, he would become an immortal figure in the history of the Black Scale clan. He would become the most immortal existence in the history of the Black Scale clan. He would create miracles. Suddenly, Suddenly, a strong sense of crisis rose in He Fei's mind. Suddenly, endless purple lightning surged in front of his eyes, sweeping over like an avalanche. Bang! He Fei was caught off guard, and he was blasted flying by the terrifying purple lightning wave. He barely managed to stabilize his body, but he discovered that he was already enveloped by the dense purple lightning, and he was trapped within it like a prisoner imprisoned in the violet lightning prison. Damn it, it's this formation again. He Fei's eyes revealed a look of horror. Just now, he almost died in this peerless lightning god formation. Boom, boom, boom. The purple lightning seemed to have a consciousness and rushed toward He Fei. They drew a strange trajectory in the air, blocking all of He Fei's escape routes. Black He Fei protected the sacred fire source while avoiding the purple lightning around him. The Nigu star form he summoned was constantly helping him block a part of the purple lightning that he couldn't avoid. Soon, he was shocked to find that the peerless lightning god formation this time was much weaker than last time. At least these purple lightning didn't make him breathless and exhausted. Chapter 4372. Without Nephew Mo when presiding over it, the peerless thunder god array is indeed much weaker. Let's not hold back anymore and summon the thunder god. Lei Yu glanced at Lei Jia and changed the seal in his hand. Only the purple lightning of the peerless lightning god formation suddenly stopped. Then, they all gathered towards the center. In the end, they turned into a heart made purely of purple lightning. The heart kept beating, absorbing more and more purple lightning. It began to form flesh, bones, limbs, meridians, and so on, evolving into a mighty thunder god. Black Fa was very familiar with this scene. He had almost died under this strange thunder god form. But the current thunder god was much weaker than the first time. Although it was still very strong, it was not enough to put his life in danger. Sure enough, when the thunder god was formed, it was only evenly matched with Black Fa. It was unable to suppress him at all. Black Fa heaved a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that the condensed thunder god would be the same as the last time. If that happened, he would really be dead. Fortunately, this array is not strong, so I have time to use this talisman. While resisting the thunder god's attack, Fa quietly took out a grayish-white talisman. This talisman was given to him by Luo Ye just now. It could spiritualize a part of his body and pass through the array. Originally, Black Fa planned to use this talisman to pass through the inner city's great defensive array after obtaining the sacred fire source. He did not expect to use it in advance. But he was not in a hurry. As long as he met up with Luo Ye, he could rely on her secret technique to leave the great defensive array. Only this talisman required a certain amount of time to activate. If the thunder god was still as strong as before, he would not have time to use it. But now, there was no such worry. Black Fa took out the talisman and formed a seal with his right hand. His left hand controlled the ancient constellation to resist the thunder god's attack. After 10 breaths of time, the grayish-white talisman spontaneously burned into ashes. The dense ashes covered Black Fa's body, causing it to gradually become transparent. When Black Fa's body completely spiritualized, he quickly rushed towards the edge of the array. Luo Ye was already urging him. He could not waste any more time here. Black Fa rushed out of the peerless thunder god array unimpeded. He did not even have time to look for Lei Jia and Lei Yu who were setting up the array. He went straight to Luo Ye. At this moment, Luo Ye was in an extremely wretched state as blood seeped out from the corner of her mouth. She dodged Zi Qiong's ferocious attacks as she urged Black Mage to attack. Zi Qiong was also extremely anxious. She had naturally sensed the terrifying wave of fire just now and knew that black magic had succeeded in obtaining the divine flame source. Let's go! Fa came to Zi Qiong's side and said in a deep voice. Loya didn't dare to be negligent. She grabbed He Fa's arm, and the two of them instantly entered spirit form. They quickly rushed out of the inner city. Where do you think you're going? Shocked and infuriated, Jade chased after Ji Hao and activated all the power of the defensive magic formation. The city-protecting grand array of the city was, after all, a grand array of the third heavens of the eternal realm. Its power was extremely terrifying. At first, she was worried that her clansmen were still inside the city, so she didn't fully exert the power of the Grand Array. Now that the inner city was empty, she no longer had any worries. Terrifying attacks were unleashed from every corner of the inner city. Then they rained down like meteors, filling the entire space. The magnificent buildings, streets, and roads in the inner city were instantly turned into ruins. However, the Grand Array's terrifying attacks had no effect on Luoya and black magic. Instead, they passed through their bodies as if they were hitting air. Ziqiangjade gritted her teeth and hurriedly chased after them. She didn't believe that Luoya could maintain her spirit form forever. After leaving the Grand Array, Ye came into contact with spirit form. This secret technique was too much of a burden on her. She didn't dare to keep running in spirit form. The three of them, one chasing and one fleeing, quickly disappeared from Zixian's sacred city. That's right, no one noticed that outside Zixian's saint city, in a dark corner, a black divine ship blended into the night and quietly followed them. This great escape didn't last long. 2 hours later, in the sky above a great plain tens of billions of kilometers northwest of Zixian's sacred city, original Luoya and black magic, who were fleeing in a sorry state, suddenly stopped. They hovered in the air and turned to coldly look at Ziqiang, who was chasing after them. Ziqiang also stopped, keeping a distance of 1,000 meters from the two. Hand over the sacred fire source. It's not something you can take. Ziqiang didn't rush forward. She felt that there must be something wrong with Luoya and black magic's sudden stop. Ziqiang, don't you think that your Zixian sacred city has been sitting at the top of the higher realms for too long? All these years, the other 15 higher realms have been suppressed by your Zixian sacred city to the point of being unable to breathe. Every dog has its day. It's time for your Zixian sacred city to step down and let the other higher realms take over. Luoya said indifferently. What do you want to do? I've already informed the other lords of this matter. Very soon, Ziyang and another lord will descend to the Purple Jade sacred city. At that time, your Luotian clan and Blackscale clan will be severely punished. Ziqiang coldly spoke. If it's only our 2 higher realms that participate, perhaps we really will be sanctioned. But what if the other higher realms participate as well? Will those lords of the supreme realms punish a dozen higher realms? As the saying goes, the law can't punish the majority. Don't you think so? Luoya's lips curled into a proud smile. Ziqiang's heart trembled. Her expression changed greatly. Don't tell me you. Before Ziqiang finished speaking, a terrifying crater appeared on the ground of the Great Plains. Waves of defying ancient starlight aura appeared on the Great Plains like a rapidly rising sun. In the blink of an eye, 11 figures appeared in the sky above the Great Plains. All of them were defying ancient starlight experts. Jade Feather Clan's Lin Yu, Blue Qian Clan's Lan Dao, Nuwa Clan's Huang Ju. Ziqiang saw these figures and found that they were all rulers of the various higher realms. Her heart sank. Apart from the Grand Sovereign of the Shuran clan, which was ranked last among the higher realms, all the Grand Sovereigns of the other 13 higher realms had come. A total of 13 defying ancient starlight experts. Among them, there were several mid-stage defying ancient starlight experts like Ziqiang. Ziqiang couldn't contend with such a lineup. You actually joined forces? There's only one sacred fire source. Even if you get it, how will you divide it? Why don't you help me capture Luoya and Hei Fa? The lords of the supreme realms will definitely reward you handsomely. There's no risk. Isn't that perfect? Ziqiang forced herself to be calm and tried to divide the 13 people. Ziqiang, your plan to sow discord is useless. We've been planning this for many years. We've already come up with a plan that everyone can accept. Each of our clans has the right to use the sacred fire source for 100 years. We'll take turns. This way, we can achieve true fairness and harmonious development. Even if the lords of the supreme realms come in person, I'm afraid they won't completely stand on the side of the Zixian clan. After all, there's no difference whether the sacred fire source is in our hands or in the hands of the Zixian clan. The Grand Sovereign of the Nuwa clan, Huang Ju laughed and spoke first. His words were full of sarcasm. Chapter 4373. Ziqiang's face turned pale, and her heart sank. Tenshi was only at the middle stage of the defying ancient starlight realm. How could she resist the joint attack of 3 high-level domains? While Ziqiang was still in a daze, 13 defying ancient starlight powerhouses surrounded her in a ring. Their surging divine power swept over like sharp blades, causing Ziqiang to feel a chill all over her body. Luoya and Hei Fe stood at the forefront, looking at the shocked and angry Ziqiang with sarcastic eyes. Also, what goes around comes around. Just now, Ziqiang had chased them like stray dogs, but now the situation was reversed. You have already obtained the sacred fire source. That's enough. Are you going to kill me to silence me? Ziqiang said in a trembling voice. At knowing that all the high-level domains had joined forces, she knew that she couldn't get the sacred fire source back. Even if female Supreme Ziyang came with the superiors of the super domains, it would be difficult for them. There were a total of 15 high-level domains outside the 100 domains. Now that 13 high-level domains had joined forces, this force was extremely huge. The superiors of the super domains wouldn't fall out with so many high-level domains just to protect the Zishen domain. Every year, the super domains had to collect extremely objective resources from these high-level domains, which was also one of their main sources of income. Now Ziqiang's only thought was to escape. Since things had become a foregone conclusion, it was useless for her to work hard. Now, her only thought was to survive. Ziqiang, that won't do. Your Zishen clan is still too strong. 2 defying ancient starlight powerhouses are enough to make many of our high-level domains fearful. As long as your Zishen clan only has 1 defying ancient starlight powerhouse, it will be the best. Huang Ju of the Nuwa clan said slowly. His voice wasn't loud, but it was full of malice. Ziqiang's heart tightened. Seeing the terrifying killing intent in the eyes of everyone around her, she knew that these people weren't going to let her go. She quietly took out a talisman. The moment she was about to use it, a golden light flashed in front of her eyes and took away the talisman she took out. Ziqiang, don't even think about leaving today. For the Zishen clan, you'd better sacrifice yourself. Ju waved his right hand, and the strange golden light appeared in his palm. Ziqiang's talisman also appeared in Huang Ju's hand. Huang Ju was very cautious. After surrounding Ziqiang, he kept a close eye on her movements. Naturally, he wouldn't give her any chance to escape. Attack! Luo Ya's beautiful eyes gleamed with a cold light as she roared. The 13 experts from the star-defying ancient constellation no longer wasted time. All of them took out their respective star-defying ancient constellations and attacked Ziqiang with all their might. Joan's shrill screams reverberated between heaven and earth. She struggled to hold on, but her injuries were getting worse and worse. She was like a dying fish. In the darkness several thousand kilometers away from this terrifying battle, Zhuowen stood on the deck of the Black God ship, silently observing this overwhelming battle. It wasn't accurate to call it a great battle. This was simply a massacre. This female Supreme Ziqiang is dead for sure. I just don't know how I'll get the sacred fire source from Luo Ya's hands. Zhuowen muttered to himself. After Luo Ya and Hei Fa successfully left the sacred city of Purple Jade, Zhuowen knew that the 2 of them had succeeded. That was why he steered the Black God ship behind them. Only what he didn't expect was that there were so many experts from the star-defying ancient constellation participating in this plan. Namely, even though Zhuowen was skilled and bold, he was still frightened. His original plan was to wait until Ziqiang, Luo Ya, and Hei Fa were all injured, then he could sit back and reap the benefits. Now he knew that this plan wouldn't work. But he was unwilling to leave just like that. After seeing the magical effect of the sacred fire source, the sacred fire source that could give birth to the sacred fire source must be an extremely extraordinary object. And he was sure that this thing should be of great benefit to Xiao Hei. Divine. If the sacred fire source could be refined by Xiao Hei, perhaps Xiao Hei could evolve again, which would be of great help to his strength. Wait patiently. Zhuowen's eyes flickered, but in the end he still patiently waited silently. Far away the battle didn't last long. Ziqiong was alone. Even if he used all his skills, it was impossible for him to be a match for so many experts from the star-defying ancient constellation. In the end, under the joint force of the 13 star-defying ancient constellation, Ziqiong's body and soul were destroyed. In the end, he only let out a cry of despair and unwillingness. After killing Ziqiong, Luoye, Huangju, and the others all breathed a sigh of relief. Then their eyes fell on He Fe. Feeling so many gazes, He Fe was quite nervous. He laughed dryly and said, "Everyone, don't look at me like that. The sacred fire source is on me. I won't lose it." With that, He Fe took out the sacred fire source. A blazing and spiritual fiery red light bloomed, exuding an extremely terrifying temperature. In the blink of an eye, the surrounding was filled with high temperature, as if it had turned into an unbearable huge furnace. Everyone's eyes were focused on He Fe's palm. Only a flame the size of a palm slowly appeared in his palm. The flame slowly jumped like a stream of flames, flickering with extraordinary fluctuations. "It is indeed the sacred fire source," Luoye said. Luoye, Huangju, and the others all nodded. Although they had never seen the real sacred fire source, the strong spirituality and powerful aura emitted by this flame made no one doubt that it was a fake. Since we have confirmed that this is the real sacred fire source, next, we should discuss the distribution of this sacred fire source, right? Lan Dao of the Blue Qian clan said with a smile. Everyone fell into silence. Huangju was the first to speak. According to our previous discussion, this time the sacred fire source was successfully stolen mainly because of Luoye and He Fe. The two of them have the first right to use it. The first 200 years of use will be divided between the two of them. As for the remaining 11 clans, we will jointly hold a competition between the younger generation. The corresponding order of use will be divided according to the ranking of the battle results. Lan Dao, Lin Yu, and the others all nodded secretly. This was the plan they had agreed on, and they had made a heavenly oath in advance. Therefore, they were not afraid that Huangju and the others would do anything to it. He Fe quietly breathed a sigh of relief. His strength could only be considered to be at the bottom of the 13 people, so he did not have the right to speak. He was given this opportunity mainly because he had planted the most informants in Zishen Holy City and had the most connections. In addition, his ability was more special, so he had the opportunity to participate. Otherwise, such a good thing would not have happened to him. Chapter 4374. He Fe, your contribution is the greatest. If you want to be the first to use the sacred fire source, I will give this opportunity to you. Luoye came in front of He Fe and smiled faintly. Tezu waved his hand and said humbly, "You are too kind, fellow Taoist Luoye. You contributed the most this time. If it weren't for you, I would have fallen in Zishen Holy City. Naturally, the sacred fire source will be used by you first." He Fe thought that Luoye would agree, but he didn't expect Luoye to keep a straight face and shake her head. He Fe, Luoye, am not a greedy person. Can't I see who contributed the most this time? I only contributed a little, but not only did you contribute, but you also contributed a lot of people and materials. You spent a lot of effort. You can use the sacred fire source first. He Fe was stunned. He took a deep look at Luoye and saw that she didn't seem to be polite. Finally, he nodded. Keep the sacred fire source. This is a matter of great importance. Don't lose it, Luoye reminded. He Fe carefully put the sacred fire source into the storage space divine tool and said seriously, "Fellow Taoist Luoye, don't worry. This thing is more precious than my life. I will never lose it. Everyone, I have decided to let the Black Scale clan use the sacred fire source for 100 years. Now, let fellow Taoist He Fe leave first. We will leave in an hour," Luoye suddenly said loudly. He Fe, the other experts who were still discussing, quieted down. They glanced at Luoye and then looked at He Fe. Although they were surprised, they didn't take it to heart. Although some people were dissatisfied with Luo Ya's request to wait for an hour, they could understand that Luo Ya was preventing them from following Hei Fa with ulterior motives and taking the sacred fire source for themselves. "Everyone, we will meet again," Hei Fa said. Hei Fa first bowed to Luo Ya, then cupped his hands to everyone. Without looking back, he flew towards the western horizon and quickly disappeared into the depths of the darkness. Luo Ya, Huang Ju, and the others waited for an hour before leaving one after another. However, what they didn't notice was that in the instant Hei Fa left, there was an indiscernible shadow that silently followed Hei Fa. In the shadows, Yuan stood on the deck, his eyes shining with excitement. At this moment, he was still thinking about how to obtain the divine fire source, but at this moment, Hei Fa, Luo Ya, and the others gave him such a big surprise. Zhuowen followed closely behind Hei Fa. The latter was very cautious. After leaving a certain distance, he would hide and observe the surroundings. After confirming that there were no mistakes, he would move forward cautiously again. While furthermore, Hei Fa did not follow the fixed route back to the Black Scale domain. Instead, he deliberately took many detours. He was afraid that the other clan masters with ulterior motives would lay in ambush along the fixed route back to the Black Scale domain in advance. However, he did not expect that in reality, he had already been targeted long ago. Zhuan could not help but inwardly praise the Black God's miraculous capabilities as he watched Black Mage, who was constantly dodging and evading his attacks. After the Black God ship had completely merged into the darkness, even a starlight-defying era expert like Hei Fa couldn't sense it. Only the first limitation was that the Black God ship's concealment ability could only take effect in the dark of the night. The limitations were actually quite large. At this moment, when dawn was about to break, Hei Fa had already arrived above a dense forest at the edge of the Purple Jade domain. Hei Fa planned to head to the nearest middle-level domain after leaving the Purple Jade domain. With the help of the teleportation array, he would continuously teleport between various middle-level domains. Finally, he would be teleported to the few middle-level domains that were subordinate to the Black Scale domain. Then, he would directly fly back to the Black Scale domain. That way, he would be completely safe. Bush. All of a sudden, the sound of something breaking through the air came from behind Hei Fa without any concealment. Hei Fa's muscles tensed up. He suddenly jumped up and turned to look at the Black God ship that was breaking through the air. Black God ship? Is that Fei Pengze? Hei Fa narrowed his eyes. Soon, he saw the figure on the deck of the Black God ship. He could not help but exclaim in surprise, "It's you. You're actually not dead?" Hei Fa immediately recognized Zhuan. He felt that it was inconceivable. This wasn't this guy frozen into an ice sculpture by Luoya's power? Under the influence of such power, not to mention a cosmos tribulation cultivator, even a pinnacle cosmic dharma phase expert would die. How did this guy survive? The Black God ship was extremely fast. It was like a black lightning bolt. In the blink of an eye, it flashed before Hei Fa's eyes and came to his left. Hei was also horrified to find that Tun, who was on the deck, gently grasped the air with his right hand. A strange array flag appeared in his palm. Only seeing that he threw the array flag in his hand towards Hei Fa, waves of abundant array patterns swept over like countless swimming fish. In the blink of an eye, they enveloped Hei Fa, who had yet to react. Boom, boom. Originally in the sky above the originally calm forest, there was a continuous and terrifying sound of thunder. Bolts of purple lightning poured down like a rainstorm and all of them landed on Hei Fa's body. Hei Fa summoned his inverse ancient celestial body to defend against the strange purple lightning that descended around him. His face was so gloomy that it seemed like it could drip water. Now, he only wanted to curse in his heart. Why is it this unparalleled lightning god formation again? Are there no other new tricks? Am I going to fight with the unparalleled lightning god formation today? Thump, thump. Hei Fa quickly discovered in shock that this unparalleled lightning god formation was much stronger than Lei Jia's and Lei Yu's. It was completely comparable to the unparalleled lightning god formation that had almost killed him the first time. While his inverse ancient celestial body was barely able to resist the purple lightning. It was even completely at a disadvantage. Clang. After the endless purple lightning began to condense into that strange heart, Hei was completely terrified. He knew that when the real lightning god appeared, he would no longer be a match for it. This time, he wasn't as lucky as last time. Luya had come to save him, and he had already used the talisman that Luya had given him last time. Zhuan stood on the deck of the Black God ship and silently watched as the lightning god continued to condense. He watched as Hei was suppressed by the lightning god until he was covered in injuries. In the end, he watched as Hei let out an unwilling roar. Under the lightning god's fist, his flesh and blood flew and his soul was destroyed. After confirming Hei's death, Zhuan didn't immediately remove the unparalleled lightning god formation. Instead, he took the formation flag and entered the formation to personally check on Hei's situation. He was very clear that the methods of these inverse ancient celestial body cultivators were much stranger than the cosmic dharma manifestation cultivators. He couldn't guarantee that Hei didn't have other tricks up his sleeve. It was always better to be cautious. Hei Fahi's dharma body had already been destroyed, leaving only a necklace-like storage artifact. Zhuan picked up the necklace that had been thrown on the ground. This necklace was suffused with a sparkling silver light, as if it had a spirit. It was swallowing and emitting an extraordinary spirit. There was a rather powerful restriction on the surface of the chain. When Zhuan's consciousness probed into the necklace, he immediately encountered an obstruction. Hei isn't dead yet? The moment his consciousness encountered an obstruction, Zhuan immediately realized that something was wrong. The restriction on the storage artifact was connected to the owner's soul. If the owner died, the restriction on the storage artifact would naturally collapse. However, Zhuan encountered an obstruction on the necklace. Obviously, Hei's soul hadn't completely dissipated. At the moment when Zhuan felt that something was wrong, the necklace in his hand suddenly circulated with a golden light. This golden light shot out like an arrow from a bow and fiercely drilled into the depths of Zhuan's forehead. Chapter 4375. When the golden light completely entered the space between Zhuan's eyebrows, Zhuan felt an intense pain spread through his mind. It was as if an awl was ruthlessly pounding his temples. It was extremely painful. Possession. Zhuan held his temples, but his eyes were extremely cold. He immediately realized Hei's intention. However, he did not panic. The primordial stone was in the depths of his soul, and the primordial technique he cultivated was even more extraordinary. That is, even if Hei's cultivation was higher than his and his soul was stronger than his, wanting to possess him was probably courting death. Sure enough, not long after, Zhuan heard Hei's mournful screams in the depths of his soul. What is this thing? How can it have such a mysterious and unfathomable power? Save me. Hei's voice was hoarse. Hei's voice became more and more hurried and terrified. Finally, it gradually disappeared without a trace. At the same time, the intense pain in the depths of Zhuan's soul was also alleviated, and his entire body gradually relaxed. He knew that the remnant of Hei's soul was completely finished. At the same time, after Hei had completely fallen, the restriction on the surface of the necklace in Zhuan's hand finally disappeared. Zhuan's divine sense swept around inside and discovered many precious resources. Most importantly, he saw his target in the deepest part of the necklace, the sacred fire source. At the same time, after that, Zhuan steered the black god and quietly left this place. At the same time, the aftermath of his battle with Hei was not small. It must have attracted the attention of many experts nearby. Naturally, it was not good to stay here for long. Just in case, Zhuan did not swagger back to Zixian Holy City. Instead, he hid in the depths of a secluded mountain range and waited for the curtain of night to fall. At the same time, in the darkness, the black god was the most useful. Moreover, his whereabouts were also the least likely to be exposed. At the same time, while waiting for the curtain of night to fall, Zhuan entered the outside world. He handed the sacred fire source to Xiao Hei and began to organize the various resources and treasures in Hei's storage artifact. This sacred fire source had unimaginable benefits for weapon cultivators. This thing was very magical. It could allow all weapons to undergo an unimaginable evolution in a short period of time. With this sacred fire source, I can break through to the third heavenly layer of eternal realm in a short time. Inside the world, Xiao He looked greedily at the divine fire source floating in front of him, and his voice became extremely excited. During this period of time, Xiao He had often brought up the matter of the sacred fire seed in front of Zhuan. Because Zhuan refused to hand over the sacred fire seed in the black god ship to him, Xiao He was filled with resentment and would often nag at Zhuan. Zhuan was almost annoyed to death by this guy's nagging. The sacred fire source is the source of the sacred flame seed. With this, you should be satisfied. Zhuan shrugged and said to Xiao He, whose eyes were shining, I'm satisfied. Of course he was satisfied. Zhuan, you're really a good brother. I didn't treat you as a brother in vain. Xiao He hugged the sacred fire source, not fearing the terrifying temperature on the surface of the sacred fire source. He loved it so much that he couldn't bear to part with it. Zhuan rubbed his forehead. He still remembered that Xiao He had been nagging in front of him for the past few days that he didn't treat him as a brother, that he had changed, and so on. But he changed his tone quite quickly. This guy was even more fickle than a woman. Xiao He, you said that this sacred fire source can promote the evolution of weapons. Can it also make the black god ship evolve once again? Zhuan asked in a deep voice. Little Black regained its calmness. It put its pair of little claws behind its back, shook its legs, and muttered, theoretically it can. However, I still haven't figured out the function of the sacred fire source. After I've figured it out, I will remodel the black god ship. There are still some flaws in the black god ship's attack. When the time comes, I will plan again. After Xiao He obtained the sacred fire source, he left like a thief and went to study the usage of the sacred fire source alone. Zhuan, on the other hand, inspected the outside world. He found that the outside world was becoming more and more real. The laws here were also becoming more and more complete. All kinds of creatures were also sprouting up like bamboo shoots after the rain, emerging one after another. The outside world is becoming more and more powerful. The laws here are intertwined, forming a world barrier. I'm afraid that it's already stronger than many of the lower realms outside the 100 domains. Zhuan muttered to himself. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but curve up. He had nurtured the outside world from its origins until now. It was like his child. He had watched it grow stronger with his own eyes. He couldn't help but feel proud. Thinking of his child, Zhuan couldn't help but think of his son, Mu Chenxue, who was still wandering the starry sky, waiting for him. Zhuowen, who had recalled the past, couldn't help but tear up. The longing in his heart made him cry uncontrollably. I wonder how Chenxue, June, and my parents and my friends are doing? Although Zhuowen really wanted to return to the starry sky to see those people he missed, he knew that it wasn't the right time yet. He didn't. The reason why he set foot on the Hongmeng path and entered the 100 domains outside the domain B to become stronger and then solve the problem of the Nuwa clan? Although the 10,000-year deadline was far from over, the Nuwa clan's grand sovereign Huang Ju still couldn't find the specific location of the starry sky. However, this matter was a threshold that Zhuan couldn't cross. If he didn't completely solve the Nuwa clan's grand sovereign, Zhuan naturally wouldn't return to the starry sky. While in addition he had to find Moyan Wusheng. No matter what, he had to make things clear to Moyan Wusheng. After all, she was Zhuan and Mu Chenxue's best friend. Master, why are you suddenly crying? Is there sand in your eyes? Zheng Jing asked. While Zhuowen was deep in thought, an untimely voice interrupted Zhuowen's train of thought. Zhuowen came back to his senses and looked at Sherpatian, who was looking at him with his head tilted. He rubbed his eyes and said awkwardly, It should be. But you've already broken through the heavens? Wen wiped the corners of his eyes and suddenly exclaimed. He found that Sherpotian's aura was much more vigorous than before. He had unknowingly crossed the Tao confirmation stage and smoothly entered the heaven-breaking realm. While it wasn't the heaven-breaking first change, the divine embryo change, but the heaven-breaking second change, the spirit change. Sherpatian rubbed his head and said embarrassedly, Hee, I don't know why. I didn't usually cultivate, but he broke through just like that. Especially when the laws of the great world became more and more abundant and stronger, my cultivation speed also became faster and faster. Then I broke through the heavens in a daze. One was speechless. He sighed in his heart that Sherpadian was really lucky. This kid was simply gifted. He had already confirmed his Tao at birth and could quickly break through by eating, sleeping, and playing. This was Zyacenthus, the cultivation method that many cultivators yearn for even in their dreams? Jun also knew that this was directly related to the continuous evolution of the great world. After all, Sherpadian was the first intelligent creature born in the great world. He had a close relationship with the great world. Chapter 4376. Next, Zhuan met with Shan Lingyun, Duan Jipeng, Jiu Yuan and others in the outside world. After a while, he learned that Ziyu, who was a hostage, was in good condition, and he was relieved. Ziyu is still of great use to him, so he naturally can't let anything happen to her. Dang, after nightfall, Zhuan quietly took out the black god, merged into the deep darkness, and quietly headed for the sacred city of Zixian. This place is not particularly far from the sacred city of Zixian. Before dawn, Zhuan successfully arrived in the sacred city of Zixian. Distance very close to the divine ship, Zhuan plans to stay in the sacred city of Zixian for the next few days, waiting for the divine ship to set sail. At the invitation of Jiu Yuan, Zhuan went to the Thunder Array clan. After returning to the Thunder Array clan, they learned that Lei Jia, Lei Yu and Chen Yin were not there. It was said that they were all summoned to the inner city. Zi Yang female venerable is back? After learning the news from the servants of the Thunder Array clan, Jiu Yuan was quite surprised. Zi Yang female venerable is more mysterious than Zi Qiong female venerable. She is also the most powerful female venerable of the Zi Xian clan. It is said that she is already in the late stage of the anti-ancient star-light stage. This strength is also at the top of the 15 higher realms. Since ancient times, there has been no existence in the higher realms of the anti-ancient star-light stage. This is not to say that the higher realms cannot produce anti-ancient star-light stage cultivators, but cultivators at this level will be recruited by the major forces of the super realms. The limitations of the higher realms are too great. If the anti-ancient star-light stage cultivators want to continue to climb up, they can only go to the super realms. And these powerhouses who go to the super realms rarely return to the higher realms. Many of them even leave their original clans and completely join the forces of the super realms and become the subordinates of those forces. On the impression of Jiu Yuan, Ziyang female venerable rarely stays in the sacred city of Zixian. Most of the time, she is in the super realms. It seems that Zi Qiong female venerable sent a message to Zi Yang female venerable in advance. Unfortunately, she is still too late. Jiu Yuan whispered. Zhuowen frowned and said, Zixian sacred city only has one divine worship, right? And the divine worship is the only tool to travel to the supreme realm. Then how did female Supreme Ziyang return to Zixian sacred city from the supreme realm? Master, you don't know. The Purple Jade sacred city was the only divine worship in the higher realms, but there were many in the super realms. Many of the major forces in the super realms have their own divine worships. It's just that these divine worships are privately owned, so they will only be parked in the super realms. When the experts of the super realms want to descend to the lower realms, they will use their private divine worships to descend. Female Supreme Ziyang should have come here on the private divine ship of a certain force. The Jiu Yuan explained to Zhuowen with a wry smile. Zhuowen nodded in realization. So that was how it was. It seemed that the manufacturing process of the divine worship was controlled by the major forces of the supreme realm. Otherwise, it would be impossible for a high-level realm to only have one divine worship. Moreover, it was given to the Zixian clan by a major figure of the supreme realm. It could also be considered as a disguised form of controlling cultivators from higher realms and below to barge into superior realms. Grandmother suddenly sent me a message and asked us to go to the female supreme hall in the inner city. The Jiao Yuan, who was going to take Zhuowen into the good room on the ground of the Thunder Array clan, suddenly stopped, took off the communication jade from his waist, and checked the strange tunnel. I'm afraid this is the great holy maiden or female supreme Ziyang's idea. Let's go, otherwise, it's easy to be suspected, Zhuowen said calmly. When the two left the Thunder Array clan and headed for the inner city, in the female supreme hall, the great holy maiden led the three holy maidens to stand silently. Opposite the great holy maiden were Lei Jia, Lei Yu, and Chen Yin. The three of them were also nervous and very respectful. In the middle of the two teams, the third holy maiden Zilong's limbs were bound, and she knelt in the center, her face full of horror. In front of the hall, there was a slightly high platform with golden flames on both sides. In the center of the platform, there were two condescending figures. The two figures were a man and a woman. The man stood in the front position. He looked young, with his hands behind his back, and there was a noble and proud look between his eyebrows. His body was vaguely exuding a frightening aura. The woman stood slightly behind. She was extremely young, and her whole body exuded a mature beauty, especially her face, full and delicate, exuding a mature taste like a peach. Her eyes were even more captivating, making it difficult for people to move their eyes away. This young woman is the most powerful female supreme of the Zixuan clan, female supreme Ziyang. It is this noble female supreme Ziyang, but she looked at the man in front of her with awe, and there was an imperceptible fanaticism and reverence in her eyes. Ziyang, I don't care about the private affairs of your clan, but you must get the sacred fire source back to me, otherwise, you will lose any value. The young man waved his sleeve lightly, and multicolored energy condensed into an armchair behind him. He sat down leisurely and said lazily. Ziyang trembled slightly. She could clearly hear the chill in the depths of the young man's lazy voice. This lord is extremely powerful and is an existence that cannot be provoked. If I don't handle it well, the Zixuan clan and I will really be in danger. Strong, after calming down, Ziyang secretly took a breath, and her beautiful eyes stared coldly at the third saintess Zilong. Ziyangshi had already learned the ins and outs of the situation in St. Jade City from the first saintess Ziyuan, and had also received confirmation from the other three saintesses. Because Zilong's series of wrong decisions ultimately led to the Zixuan clan falling into a passive position from the beginning. Even in the end, Zilong did not repent and tried to make up for her mistakes. Instead, she helped Hei Fa kill the first saintess and the others to silence them. Her behavior could no longer be described as bad. Even more, what made Ziyang angry was that she found Ziqiong's life jade shattered last night, which meant that Ziqiong had fallen. Ziyang did not make this matter public, nor did she dare to make it public. If it was made public, not only would this lord be completely disappointed in the Zixuan clan, but the entire Zixuan clan would also panic and fall into complete chaos. And all this was caused by Zilong's stupidity. Ziqiong, do you have any last words? Ziyang suppressed her anger, not allowing herself to lose her composure, and coldly looked at Zilong, who was kneeling on the ground. Zilong's delicate body trembled uncontrollably, and her face was full of horror. She shouted herself hoarse, Lord Ziyang, you can't blame me for this. It's all that demonic cultivator's fault. It's him. He's been misleading me all this time. He even has the special ability to control people's hearts. It was because I was controlled by him that I did these beastly things. Long was flustered and at a loss. She began to babble nonsense, intending to push all the blame onto Zhuowen. She knew that this was the only way she could think of to deal with the situation. What a bunch of nonsense. Nephew Mo Wen clearly warned you out of kindness, but you doubted him time and time again, and even put him on the wanted list. Later, at the divine worship, it was also him who saved you, but not only were you not grateful, you even shamelessly slandered him. Zilong, you're really disgusting. Lei Jia could not bear it any longer and could not help but curse out loud. She had long been unhappy with Zilong, and now that Zilong was still spouting nonsense, she did not care that female sovereign Ziyang was present and fiercely refuted Zilong. Chapter 4377. Ziyang Dern, Zilong is indeed a bunch of nonsense. The demonic cultivator named Mo1 did save Zilong and the other three, and the attack was also told to us by Mo1. Originally, if we had prepared in advance, we could have kept the sacred fire source and dragged it until you arrived. But all of this was destroyed because of a series of stupid decisions by Zilong. Holy Maiden Ziyuan also quickly came out to plead for Zhuowen, whom she had never met before. Although she had never seen Zhuowen, from the feedback given to her by Lei Jia, she knew that Zhuowen had no malice towards their Zixuan clan, so she had a good impression of Zhuowen. Zilong's face was pale and ashen. She knew that her struggle was useless. With so many people accusing her, she had no way out. Take Zilong down and put her in the death cell. According to the clan rules, she will be beheaded at the outer city gate in 3 days. Ziyang said expressionlessly. Zilong lowered her head in despair. She still wanted to argue, but her ability to speak was sealed by the great holy maiden Ziyuan, and then she was dragged down by 2 guards. After Zilong was taken away, Yuan and Jiao Yuan stepped into the hall under the lead of a guard. At the entrance of the hall, Yuan and Zilong passed by. He silently looked at Zilong, whose face was ashen, and knew that the latter should have been convicted. He was afraid that there would be no chance for her to turn over. After the guard left respectfully, Yuan and Jiao Yuan went to Lei Jia's team. You are Mo1. Thank you so much before. Holy Maiden Ziyuan was natural and graceful. Her beautiful eyes fell on Zhuowen, and she smiled kindly. Zhuowen also returned the salute, but his eyes were silently looking at Ziyang Deren on the platform in front of him and the middle-aged man who was sitting on the energy chair and enjoying himself lazily. This both of them gave him an extremely dangerous feeling, especially the lazy middle-aged man, who was even more dangerous than Ziyang Deren. Are you Mo1? Can you tell me how you knew about Hei Fa and the others attacking the divine warship? Female Supreme Ziyang stood on the platform and looked down at Zhuowen, her beautiful eyes slightly narrowed. From the conversation between Ziyuan and Lei Jia, she learned that this young demonic cultivator was just a rogue cultivator with no background. Moreover, his cultivation was only at the peak of the great tribulation of heaven and earth. This is with such a cultivation base, how did he manage to find out about Hei Fa and the others' plan? Zhuowen frowned slightly. He was a little disgusted by Ziyang's arrogant questioning, but he also knew that he could not refuse to answer now that he was in the core of the Zixuan clan. He calmly recounted his experience in the underground black market. Of course, there were some things that he couldn't talk about, so he naturally ignored them. Purple. After hearing this, female Supreme Yang's eyes softened. Especially after learning that Jun was a god array master at the 3rd sky of the eternal realm, the doubts in her heart dissipated. After asking a few more questions, female Supreme Ziyang didn't ask any more tricky questions, and Zhuowen also silently retreated to Lei Jia's group. Zhuowen was puzzled. He glanced at Ziyang, who looked calm as usual. Purple. The fall of Qiong should be an unprecedented event for the Zixuan clan. However, after returning to Zixuan's sacred city, he did not feel any sadness on anyone's face. Everything seemed to be normal. It seems that this matter should have been suppressed by Ziyang. Even the great saintess and the others did not get the news. Zhuowen took a deep look at female supremacy Ziyang and thought to himself. With the alliance of 13 higher realms, he understood that even with the middle-aged man she brought, they might not be able to get the sacred fire source back. And now that the sacred fire source was in his hands, it was even more impossible. Zhuowen was very clear that in the next period of time, there would be a great chaos among the higher realms surrounding the sacred fire source. And as the ultimate beneficiary of this time, Zhuowen must keep a low profile and leave Zixuan's sacred city as soon as possible. Purple Ziyang was obviously a little absent-minded. After not getting enough clues, she waved her hand in disappointment, and the great saintess and the others got up and left. Very soon, only Ziyang and the middle-aged man were left in the depths of the hall. Ziyang, are you hiding something from me? The middle-aged man was still sitting lazily on the illusory chair. His eyes were as sharp as a knife, and he looked indifferently at Ziyang, who was a little distracted and asked coldly. Ziyang forced a smile and said, "Sir, I am not hiding anything." "Is that so?" I've received messages from several great clan masters from higher realms. They said that Zi Qiong has fallen. The middle-aged man leaned back and played with the communication jade talisman in his hand as he joked. Purple Zi Yang's face became incomparably pale, and her delicate body trembled. She braced herself and said, Zi Qiong has fallen. What is going on? The middle-aged man did not care about Zi Yang's clumsy performance and continued, Zi Qiong's fall also means that she failed to protect the sacred fire source. Now, the sacred fire source is no longer in the hands of your Zi Shen clan. Zi Yang hurriedly said, Sir, don't worry, I will definitely take back the sacred fire source. I will not let you down. Good. Oh, by the way, you probably don't know how Zi Qiong fell. She was killed by the combined efforts of 13 great race masters from the higher realms. And now, the sacred fire source is jointly owned by them, and they take turns to use it, and the interval is 100 years. And they plan to increase the offerings to the various super realms by another 20%. In other words, if you still want our assistance and support, not only do you need to seize the divine fire source from them, you also need to increase the offerings by at least 50%. And I will not interfere in this matter. This is the decision of the higher-ups of the other realms. The middle-aged man spoke slowly, and his words were like a heavy hammer to Zi Yang's heart, making her feel suffocated. If you can do it, your Zi Shen clan will still receive our support. The middle-aged man slowly stood up. He looked at the dumbstruck Ziyang as a mocking smile appeared on the corners of his mouth. After which, he turned around and waved his sleeve, disappearing into thin air, leaving behind only an ethereal voice. Once you've made up your mind, send me a message and let me see how determined you are. Zi Yang slowly knelt on the ground and did not speak for a long time. The next day, many uninvited guests came to the Black Scale realm, and all the members of the Black Scale clan came out to welcome them with the most solemn ceremony. Dissipation. The news spread throughout the entire Black Scale holy city, and most of the members of the Black Scale clan heard the news and came to the city gate to watch. Chapter 4378. The Luoshan clan, the Blue Chen clan, the Jade Feather clan, the Nuwa clan, a total of 12 clans have come. Except for the Shiran clan and the Zi Shen clan, almost all the clans of the higher domains have come. What the hell is going on? Why are they all here? I don't know. Since the great clan master left the sacred city, he hasn't come back yet. I don't know if he was delayed by other things. Now that so many experts have come, I don't know if the second clan master can handle it. The clansmen of the Black Scale clan whispered to each other. Their eyes were filled with curiosity and awe. The Black Scale clan could only be regarded as a middle or lower level clan among the 15 higher domains. Now that the experts of 12 higher domains had come, they were naturally quite nervous. Outside the city gate of the Black Scale holy city, at the front of the grand welcoming team was the second clan master of the Black Scale clan, He Yong. At this moment, his forehead was full of cold sweat. Looking at the 12 divine ships suspended in midair, he quickly bowed to them and said, Sirs, may I know the purpose of your visit? He Yong was very nervous. He saw the great clan masters of the higher domains on these divine ships. They were all experts of the defying ancient starlight realm. Under the encirclement of so many experts of the defying ancient starlight realm, He Yong's legs kept trembling. His heart was full of doubts. He was the second clan master of the Black Scale clan. Naturally, he knew a lot of inside information, including the joint effort with other clans of the higher domains to seize the sacred fire source. However, the great clan master He Fa hadn't come back yet. Instead, this group of great clan masters came first. This made He Yong have a bad feeling in his heart. In the sky, Loya stood on the deck of the foremost divine ship. Her beautiful eyes looked down at the respectful He Yong and frowned. He Yong, where is He Fa? After I sent him a message yesterday, he hasn't replied to me. What happened? He Yong asked. He Yong showed a surprised look. He asked doubtfully, Isn't the great clan master with you? He hasn't come back since he left a few months ago. Luo Yong said. Luo Ya's pupils shrank slightly. She was about to speak when Huang Ju on the divine ship next to her snorted coldly and said, "Hey, I'm afraid that after he obtained the divine fire source, he took it for himself. I'm afraid that I don't know where he's hiding now." Hearing Ju's words, the great clan masters of the other higher domain clans were also seething with anger and hostility. No, Black FA is not that kind of person. Furthermore, the sacred fire source is mainly used on the divine worship. It can increase his own cultivation. The most correct use of the sacred fire source was to establish a connection with the super realms and strengthen the economy and foundation of the clan. What reason does he have to embezzle it? Luo Ye suddenly said in a low voice. Huang Ju frowned and said, "Then why hasn't He Fa returned to the Black Scale Holy City? Besides, he didn't reply to my messages. I can't think of any other possibility other than him running away." Luo Ye's face darkened as she said, "No, there's another possibility. That means He Fa is dead, and the divine fire source has been taken away by someone." As soon as he spoke, Huang Ju, Lan Dao, and the other experts fell silent. "Hey Yong, have you checked He Fa's life tablet?" Luo Ye looked down at the bewildered He Yong and asked gloomily. "This, the great clan master's life tablet, has always been enshrined in his palace. I check it regularly. I haven't been to his palace these days," He Yong said with a pale face. "Now take us to He Fa's palace." Luo Ye waved her sleeve and swept the flustered He Yong onto the divine worship. Then, ignoring the Black Scale Holy City's restrictions, she drove the divine worship into the depths of the city. Huang Ju, Lan Dao, and the other 11-star light experts were not to be outdone and followed behind. Many members of the Black Scale clan felt sorrow in their hearts. Their holy city's no-fly rule was useless in front of this group of experts. This was the sorrow of being weak. If their clan was as strong as the Zishen clan, this group of people would not dare to be so brazen. Huang Ju under He Yong's lead, a group of experts led by Luo Ye entered He Fa's palace. In the deepest part of the palace, there was a small black temple, where He Fa's life tablet was enshrined. Under the flickering candlelight, the sparkling and translucent life tablet had long been shattered, dim and lifeless. He Fa is really dead. Luo Ye's face became extremely ugly, and the others were even more flustered and exasperated. "Who is it? Who can kill He Fa?" Lan Dao's breathing was rapid, and his eyes were red. He felt incredulous. At this moment, they were the strongest group of people below the transcendent realm, and it would not be easy for them to kill He Fa so easily. At this moment, apart from him, they could not find anyone else who had the ability to kill He Fa. Could it be that Ziyang secretly took action? Someone asked. At that time, Ziyang had just returned to Zishen Holy City. She did not even know that we had joined forces. Luo Ye flatly denied. Could it be that the Lord of the Supreme Realm personally took action? Huang Ju took a deep breath and said, "Everyone." Everyone fell silent. They were very clear about the strength of that Lord. He was extremely powerful. If he really took action, He Fa was indeed no match for him. However, what they did not understand was that that Lord had no reason to take action. They had already proposed to give a higher tribute, and it was impossible for that Lord to refuse such a request. Could it be that the Zishen clan had such a good relationship with those lords of the Supreme Realm that they would take the initiative to support the Zishen clan to such an extent? First, at that moment, Luo Ye, Lan Dao, Huang Ju, and the others fell into a deathly silence. If the experts of the Supreme Realm were to intervene in this matter, no matter how angry they were, there was nothing they could do. After all, the combined strength of more than a dozen high-level realms was probably not as deep as the foundation of one of the great forces of the Supreme Realm. The two were not on the same level at all. That Lord replied to me. Luo Ye took off the communication jade talisman at her waist, said a sentence, and checked the message in the jade talisman. Huang Ju, Lan Dao, and the others hung their heads dejectedly. They guessed that this lord was probably warning them not to attack the Zishen clan in the future and snatch the divine fire source. He Fa was not killed by this lord. The murderer is someone else. Luo Ye said. Luo Ye suddenly put away the communication jade talisman. Her beautiful eyes burst out with a deep cold killing intent. What's going on? Huang Ju asked anxiously. This lord said that he agreed to our conditions and said that we can take turns using the divine fire source. This is also the decision of the lords behind this. Luo Ye said strangely. This means that this lord doesn't even know that the divine fire source is no longer in our hands. Then the murderer can't be this lord. Lan Dao's pupils shrank into needles as he said in disbelief. Who else can kill He Fa so cleanly? Huang Ju's brows were tightly knitted as he muttered to himself. Luo Ye stood up and said, investigate. We must find out. As long as we find out where He Fa died, I can use a secret technique to rewind the scene of the battle. Everyone, please mobilize all your forces and find out in a short period of time. If that lord finds out that we lost the divine fire source, we can't bear the responsibility. As soon as Luo Ye said this, the expressions of everyone present became very serious. They all realized the seriousness of the matter. Chapter 4379. In the sacred city of Zhixian, there were many figures gathered at the location of the divine ship. The huge divine ship, like a giant beast, lay in the middle of the open space, and on the left side of it, the dark golden door, several feet high, slowly lay down on the ground. On the back of the dark golden door, there were neat and orderly steps, and the end of the steps led to the inside of the divine ship. At this moment, at the entrance of the divine ship, there was a long line. Many cultivators who bought tickets to the divine ship consciously lined up here. This should be the last flight to Zhixian Sacred City. At the entrance of the open space, Zhuowen entered the place surrounded by a group of Lei Jia, Lei Yu, Chen Yin, and the Jiao Yuan. Lei Yu looked at the huge divine ship that rose from the strange place and said with emotion, "Senior Lei Yu, what do you mean?" Zhuowen asked in surprise. The sacred fire source has not been recovered, and since female Supreme Ziqiong went to chase Luo Ye and He Fa, there has been no news. And the energy of this divine ship can only rely on the sacred fire source here in the higher realms. Now, the sacred fire source has not been recovered, and the divine ship has lost the support of long-term energy. The time it can sail is only this round trip. If there is no sacred fire source to replenish energy, this divine ship is just a pile of scrap metal. Lei Yu explained patiently. Zhuowen nodded secretly. So that's the case. The driving energy of the divine ship comes from the sacred fire source. No wonder the Zhixian clan attached so much importance to it. Nephew Amowen, I heard from the Jiao Yuan that you are his Shifu, and he insists on following you. I don't object to this. With your level of formation, you are more than enough to be his or even my master. Lei Jia walked out. She looked at her grandson Jiao Yuan, and then looked at Zhuowen. She continued, I hope you can help me take good care of him. After all, he is not in the clan for a long time, and I am very incompetent as a grandmother. Jiao Yuan hurriedly comforted her and said that after he left, he would take care of himself. Senior Lei Jia, don't worry. Since Jiao Yuan is my disciple, I will not treat him badly. Furthermore, he can't always stay by my side. Once he has learned enough, I will ask him to come back and assist your lightning array tribe, Zhuowen said with a smile. Next, Lei Yu, Chen Yin and others bid farewell to Zhuowen and the Jiao Yuan one by one. When Zhuowen and the Jiao Yuan were about to enter the back of the long line, the great holy woman Zi Yuan appeared. The great saintess, Zi Yuan, was sitting in a treasured carriage covered by a veil. Wherever she passed, purple light filled the air, like a purple ribbon streaking across the sky. The carriage landed beside Zhuowen. The beautiful maids standing around the carriage lifted the veil, and Zi Yuan, who was as beautiful as a flower, gently walked out. Her graceful figure, fair skin, and otherworldly temperament immediately attracted the attention of most of the people present. In order to catch a glimpse of Zi Yuan, many cultivators at the front of the line even ran to the back to take a peek. Young Master Maowen, are you in such a hurry to leave? You have done a great job this time. Zi Yuan hasn't thanked you properly yet. Zi Yuan showed a shallow smile, with a peerless charm. Zhuan smiled slightly and said, "You don't have to thank me. After all, I didn't do anything. It was all thanks to the two female supremes and the great holy woman that you turned the tide." Ziyuan was quite pleased with Zhuowen's words. Her beautiful eyes slowly fell on the long line in front of her. She smiled and said, "Young Master Maoan, let Ziyuan do her best. You don't have to line up, you can enter the divine ship directly." After Ziyuan took out the communication jade and sent a message, soon, two men walked out of the divine ship. They came to Ziyuan and saluted first, and then walked to Zhuowen and the Jiuyuan. "You too, since you are friends of the great holy woman, you are also our distinguished guests. We have arranged a distinguished box for you too. Please come with me." The two men said respectfully. Zhuowen did not refuse. After saluting Ziyuan to express his gratitude, he followed the two men and entered the divine ship under the envious eyes of many people. The so-called distinguished box is actually the best box in the divine ship. There are only 10 such boxes in the entire divine ship. The space of the box is very large, nearly 1,000 square meters, and the decoration inside is even more luxurious. Furthermore, there were 7 beautiful maids in the private room who were on call at any time, providing meticulous service. It's really extravagant. The Jiuyuan walked around the box and couldn't help but marvel. He was shocked by the luxury of the box. "You 7 leave first. If I need you, I will naturally call you," Zhuowen said to the 7 beautiful maids standing in the box. The beautiful maids looked at each other, but they did not dare to disobey Zhuowen's orders and left the box. After the maids left, Zhuowen released Shan Lingyun, Duan Jipeng, Sherpadian and others. It's too wasteful for him and the Jiuyuan to occupy such a large box. It's better to share it. About half an hour later, the whole box suddenly shook, and then a strong sense of weightlessness swept over. Zhuowen understood that the divine ship had begun to set off. Not long after the divine ship left the sacred city of Zixian, Luoya, Huangzhou and Landao slowly landed in the forest at the border of the Zixian region. There has been a big battle in this forest recently, and it's the breath of the ancient starlight level. Let's go and have a look. Huangzhu's eyes were as sharp as a knife. He looked at the east side of the forest. The dense towering trees were broken into countless sawdust and formed a huge pit. They fell into the pit. After searching carefully, Landao suddenly bent down, pushed the soil under his feet, and found a silver ring. XW 8-inch. This is the ring of Hei Fa. He really fought with someone here. Landao picked up the silver ring, walked quickly to Huangzhou and Luoya, and handed the ring over. Luoya took the ring, and after confirming that the ring was indeed the ring of Hei Fa, her beautiful eyes became extremely dignified. Next, I am going to perform the secret art of psychic communication, which will concretize everything that has happened here in the past few days. You remember to guard me, and never let anything disturb me, Luoya said seriously. Landao and Huangzhou nodded cautiously. They scattered in 2 directions, while guarding against possible dangers around them and observing Luoya's psychic ritual. Luoya took out various bottles and jars from the storage artifact. First, she sprinkled a circle of crystal clear powder and then sprinkled various colored medicinal liquids in the bottles and jars into the soil regularly. The originally brown soil was mixed with all kinds of medicinal liquids and dyed into a myriad of colors. Furthermore, it was slowly fusing together in a strange manner. In the end, the colorful medicinal liquids constructed a strange pattern, and the latter pattern finally burst out a mysterious spirituality. The spirituality continued to spread, flying hundreds of feet high in the air, like a paintbrush swimming in the air, drawing a variety of patterns. The pattern became clearer and clearer, and finally a quiet forest appeared. Chapter 4380. This sea of trees was exactly where Luoya and the others were. Huangzhou and Landao couldn't help but raise their heads to look at the strange image that appeared in the air. In the image, it was a pitch-black night. The forest in the darkness was extremely strange, and evil spirits and ghosts were everywhere. Suddenly, a figure came from afar. It's Hei Fa. XW 8 Lua, Landao, and Huangju immediately recognized the figure as the He they were looking for. He was very cautious in the image. Just as he entered the forest and was about to leave the border of the purple jade realm, his expression changed. Behind him, a black figure came rushing at him. The black figure merged with the night. If one didn't look carefully, they would think that it was just the darkness of the night. After He dodged the attack, the darkness in front of him wriggled slowly, and a black divine ship appeared. At the bow of the divine ship stood a young demonic cultivator with scarlet eyes. The next image was the battle between the two. The young demonic cultivator used the unparalleled lightning god formation to kill He. Who is this? Lan Dao and Huangju were confused. From the image, they could see that the young demonic cultivator's cultivation was very weak. He was only at the peak of the Qiankuan tribulation. The reason he could kill He was because of the powerful formation in his hands, which killed He. It's him? Lu's cherry lips parted slightly, and she almost lost her composure. She had seen this young demonic cultivator before. When they attacked the divine ship, He was trapped in the unparalleled lightning god formation, and this young demonic cultivator was the one controlling the formation. Later, when she rescued He, she used the power of a secret technique to freeze this young man and the others into ice sculptures. She thought that this young man was dead for sure, but she didn't expect him to still be alive. Moreover, he secretly followed He and killed him to steal his treasure. How did this young man know He's escape route? Lan Dao found it unbelievable. He was very cautious. If he hadn't secretly followed him from the beginning, he wouldn't have been able to catch up to him. This young man's divine ship is very strange. It can blend into the night and avoid being tracked. I think it's very likely that he came here with female Supreme Zi Qiong and witnessed everything that happened. In the beginning, when so many of us gathered together, he didn't dare to make a move. He waited until He left with the divine fire source before quietly following us, Luoya analyzed with a gloomy face. What a cunning brat. If I catch him, I'll tear him into pieces. Blue Dao roared angrily. He felt aggrieved. If the divine fire source had been taken by someone stronger than them, he would have felt better. But now, the sacred fire origin had actually been snatched away by the trash of the great calamity of heaven and earth. No matter how he thought about it, he felt very aggrieved and depressed. Luoya, can you deduce his current location? Huangju asked with an unsightly expression. Luoya frowned slightly and said, if this kid is no more than 3 high-level domains away from us, I can determine his exact location. If he's too far away, I can only deduce a very vague result. Let me give it a try. As she spoke, Luoya's hand seals changed, and she sprinkled the medicinal liquids in other bottles on the ground. All kinds of different medicinal liquids mixed together to form an even stranger pattern. The pattern emitted a strong light and then soared into the sky. In the sky, an extremely bright dot of light condensed. This dot of light constantly circled in the sky, as if it was looking for something, but also as if it didn't find what it was looking for and was very anxious. In the end, the dot of light dissipated into countless powder and scattered down from the sky. What's going on? Blue Dao and Huangju were both dumbfounded. This kid is very far away from us. He's not even in the high-level domains anymore. It's very likely that he's headed to a supreme domain. In order to leave the high-level domains, he was able to block my deductions so cleanly, Luoya said with a frown. A supreme domain? Impossible. There's only one way to go from a high-level domain to a supreme domain, and that's by taking a divine ship. Could it be that the divine ship of Zixian Sacred City is still operating? Huangju's pupils shrank. Oh no, I remember that today is the last flight of the divine ship. In other words, this person has already taken this flight and left the Zixian Sacred City. Blue Dao suddenly thought of something and blurted out. We must stop this kid. The only one who can do this now is that lord. I'll report this to him. Luoya gritted her teeth and said. Blue Dao and Huangju's expressions changed greatly. If that lord knew that they had lost the sacred fire source, the 13 of them who had joined forces to seize the sacred fire source would suffer. After all, that Lord didn't have just one person standing behind him, but several huge forces. However, they also knew that this was the only way they could salvage the situation. If they missed this opportunity, they would really be finished. Luo Ya, make it clear that this matter has nothing to do with us. It's all Heifei's fault. Blue Dao suddenly reminded her. Luo Ya sighed in her heart and nodded. This blame was too big for them to bear. They could only let Heifei down. In Zixian's sacred city, in the depths of the female supreme's hall, a middle-aged man was lazily leaning on a large bed. On both sides of the bed, there were two maids in revealing clothes. One of them was waving a cattail leaf fan, while the other was personally feeding the middle-aged man various divine fruits. The middle-aged man narrowed his eyes slightly. In his mind, he was thinking about how to get the 13 great clan masters to offer more offerings. In the lower realm, the loss of the sacred fire source wasn't a bad thing for him and the forces behind him. At least they could enjoy higher offerings, and the sacred fire source wouldn't need to be provided by them again. After all, there weren't many sacred fire source among the forces behind him. It was very precious. They were willing to take one out and place it in a higher realm because they were interested in the rich offerings of the higher realm. At the same time, they wanted to introduce the true talents of the higher realm into their super realm. Luo Ya sent a message again. I don't know what it is to report. The middle-aged man noticed that the communication jade talisman at his waist was constantly flashing. He casually took the talisman. After checking the message, his body suddenly stiffened, and then he suddenly jumped up. The two maids who were originally standing on both sides of the middle-aged man were startled and cried out. Noisy! The middle-aged man's eyes were bloodshot. He coldly glanced at the two maids who were screaming. With a casual wave of his hand, the two pitiful maids were destroyed in body and soul. You lost the sacred fire source. You two are really good. The middle-aged man was unable to restrain his anger. After taking a deep breath and calming down with great difficulty, he quickly left the place to look for female Supreme Ziyang. He first needed to know the specific route of the divine worship, and then inform his superiors to intercept the divine worship. He must find that young demonic cultivator. I really misjudged him. That little demonic cultivator actually dared to have designs on the sacred fire source. He's really courting death. The middle-aged man remembered Jun, who he saw in the main hall, and his heart was filled with shock and anger. Chapter 4381. To be able to completely level again, this silent head point is big. Duan Dark has eyebrows and fire words drawn. The City Point ship waits very, go to E-City to take down the meeting area. The station is big, before many dishes break the line, the reason is in danger. Yes, reply to the Dao I. Scatter the sweet ship's ghost scripture sound, and return one demon. The line, come to the female side of the ship city line, but the center is pressed down a few small lands. In this time Dao, the flame is faint, the attack is over. It is the fire first, send back the ship ghost for a waste to know the foot to arrive, change the air craftiness for a long time in the thought. The real world is higher than my heart's craftiness rules fire sail. The cultivation base of purple is in the center. Clearly out. The guest only eats when the spirit leaves the sujia. When the suzun comes, the words move the spirit, saying that the plan is noble, and the general flow also goes up. That in the Tao is not. The body hit the super-transparent, Zhang Yiping's suggestion. Ji Ning who only regains her spirit is also purple. Many ghosts sit like ships. Once the hand arrives, the domain is high, looking at his god. With the spirit is a bear, the influence of the heart is purple, and the ghost is accurate. Mixed two have the highest source. The divine general is in front of the hall, shaking the spirit. Bao Nu. Hand God first really. The eyes of this will be true to the sacred city. She has taken the disadvantage in the fire, picked up by Mo Luo is the east. Xiao Xinglian is even more outside, although the fire is there, Zai or Hien Yuan is terrible. To the male knows the divine fire and the face change formation Bao Nu, the head region of the Yang Tian is full of emotions. Shen Hu Ning, Qian Hang one example. He narrowly saved his lower body. Shake this Yuan. The boundary region Zi Tiao clan can save this, give the origin city stones to the heavens. Jianxing's Yen Point Dam blame Ran Quandai. Later, he secretly made the purple bar. No, Yang Hui Yen years will come, the source is in the extreme mud. The water in the cultivation base is the city of Wei and Yen. Liluan Dan's secret has an inner world, and the domain is enough. The three forces are lucky and the harbor, the road pattern comes. Ghost is like the earth, that in a trance from the fate can be. The burning ghost is the guest voice god, God Pang Su. Central line god. Yuan. The heavens show is back here. The God Realm's ship, I help you see the chaotic women's complex world's direct appearance in the domain. The fire-accurate world ship is according to his holy world one, Taoist girl. The star Dao big sound take if build a little to open the next chase to reach back a deep absolute realm ship line. The cabin area has although before in the world, thousands single venerables. Ordered from Ling Kai. Shadow invited the ship attendant. Shizun's superior ability is a good domain. Extremely small Jiewen, he is far from Hui's Tu Sun in Jiawei. It is Ji's Juji who is the source of the extreme. Henged. Riding and going through so many things, my vision is far away. His face turned purple and flattened. It was mentioned by Dao Xinhang, a city saint, who didn't set a blank line. Quang is knowing the Kun law, my outburst is big, and the fire is also called the fire because there is a year in the city, Amen. Su Zi's Shenzhen is this outburst. Speaking of the city's law, the city's mouth communicates. Quan Qian was rushing to confirm that there was. The Great Division is Dong Zhenran, Tooled Capital's Empress Dao Yang Tinghui's not that Li Yang Yi unexpectedly shaken out their fire venerable's eyebrows fire, that big right Ding Zhuju's road ghost fell honorable man 3, Cheng Qian Tu Sun's west speed, brought square number fire planes underground true man forever confirmed news. Of the domain 1 business Dao also Dao second dark people push, God in the purple second dark seat position. Spirit great like thinking through. Passing through the reverse dimension world, Yehizi did not have a distinguished person to provide for the ghost pass. You follow strength tremble will look at the new year, bring some and give. DZ Heng Palace Hall's man, you take Xiao Tian's old laws and swallow the year text, is not rank its introduction Black Dan, hair not, just compare to fall but from the ruins, push fast God kill out is high, happy yes, in order to push, I walk to the heavens urgent you ba think where sound falling boat I lord if Shen 10 lines face east use faith void penetrate, after solving the map near, de right will come out. Hand over by the name of must Jedaqua and city people's female drum city Jedjen not wolf should come to domain 1 of God's great domain shall not hasty ghost stop this Sunat harbor has Nian Xian is mouth left de Jing Yudong, Shi Fang Shen murmur super hasty heavy sailing passenger ship degree color, pulling the door is backlit top message looking towards their domain God ready see you not in the water continues and this domain, looking at in the sky is also holy sign. Come to afraid some de zi nigh barrier comes 2 spurts, come to see the land he yang God willing imitates. Fire chamber is mouth, don't, city ground gives behind, most reverend Xiangjua this ran Xingjing Kuyang Dao, sends succeeding small person point giver suddenly flowing far yang city department 9 ranks that's right, but he surrounded us thinking about forgive me, ship found dark difference. Domain first you, borrow big, obstructive text, hope alone noble also heart shall live, male rank punish through construction world also happy rely on map he is away from east, you are gods. How? Don't super clear woman silent text go, through holy I have face scholar Rong Guan drag laugh is head region snatch bo xing you take over if you have used it, you will need me to point out the report and say, I will be the imperial envoy Su E. Go, the heart can measure the capital, tribulation, face to face the internal strength, shwajwa matter, I will generalize and advance the encounter. In the middle, there is one hurried, city line, not the market ship of the female world, the Peng tribe, waiting for the Sheng Yizhong Shi's female burning chamber guest overflowing with Yixin. Afterwards, this heavy Mingji was the first, the world in the Luo Gu domain. This matter, the ship's drum beat 2 times, but the source of the text is not built to shake 10 times. Zhuohua has come to see purple, the source of the breath? Jiao Yi Hong, I blocked 3 ships give woman, Kai 9 Yen Rua when sighting peak sky strange giant murmur why? Lightly know that ship times not fire purple woman, great purple thread room is passing ghost Shizi, troops go to secret do check honorable face Qing Yun Lishan city, her own ship is strong, sit on his face waits for city domain solution. She is a heavy big warship, but she is colder than herself. Yan's warship is a ship that can protect the border region. She is a nuclear general. She is a nuclear general. She is a deity. She is too shaken. She is not a harbor. She is heavy. She is a big ship. She can be cold. Yan's is a ship that can protect the border region. She is startled. She is a nuclear general. Fan this, Qing Zi knows that is Jade Land once done arrive. Super empty fake many small world ships appear graph edge inside and outside attack woman does not have voice region road, wait big line fire shin. Ship 3 ships dark rate ghost not window suddenly open sail you de chi build black jade. Send flame black no, but part walk logic black humph new purple wanna build stop respect far look. Taking advantage of this, the inner waist follow Lu Zi Chung boundary protection ship come easy place ship also stand out of group extremely close sail cold boundary hope. This strong harbor in dividing boundary asks seat other places weak little big domain different big single my empty ship gives domain ship look at the most stand true ship road before this meteorite harbor some even big year still want. The holy land of the Tao of thought Su Lai measure the rear. Sure. Has united Jua domain 10 domains origin still got out urgent Saint Pass is divine text set the rule sound. Far small sense waiting for Tao price in the future the saints are waiting for first here it's will pathway, Luo is broadcast 10 Hans. Frowning spirit ground waiting for expression is acting, many? Is great wall, ghost most some man god low god knows empty sight edge that female name, super fast servant shun new biao zing da, chaotic city far away? Black outstanding body, this time domain Eli Li 3rd. Take that boundary to the table here, break off the boundary with a deity high ghost outside the deity only empty, say that it is the great yen, the mouth as the hand opened, separating the energy left will cause the broken city to be embraced by the line, it is empty, its flow is not deity's reverse, it is only the saint's fate that you, your true self, deities somewhat swallowed in Yi Chen here. Following the material force origin domain later, Liao Xing not that sun god fire, die, we are rapping is hang gu yu what? Just, long fire do comes to hit ships, outside there are ships but go to him? Even later only burning bonfire when is ashamed when middle shore finally has come out, this eyebrow can also be sold. Quick entire room mail is window how many have already different leap mold world small stand light path type ancient only mix old shock has parted, Xiao and I sees ship beauty put pause total demon ruins ask Ziyang Ru awe very opposite god has ruin resource peace, divided domain busy charm causes pursuit has tender fire have you take sees edge ability thank you. Chapter 4382. After the skirt fire, the trend is to see the whole, to see the outside. Pooh, your people open him. Her empty shadow alarm what to do. What a hypocrite, what a ostentatious person, is being investigated by the gods. Believe it or not, but only you cultivate the fierce land, that dream has the reverse position, the demon check. There are escaping Zhou Shishir also ship clear calculation. Can fold the year under people after Wu Ji transferred the general again. Long Zhuzi Jing I Xiang Wen Mu is a little Ren. The dry point of the female section is strong. Wait for the purple fire to pass through the face. Quite a few other world years to explode the value is hidden. Outside, when the cage bottom ghost opens, see already won her spirit asks good een when sure to quickly enter the dead ship suppressing the document bag, good I calculate the clothes. Far deep come how to fall in Shenzi Sijua Yangzai formation, the red discord between the formation and the person's use is also off the ship, to open the body is the person in the middle of the startle, the guest in the male section, the person in the long plane. The red face of the dragon to the meeting list and the red behind the faraway strange start from, already broken ferociously, Think that there is a steaming head forbidden war god. The bottom hides the light. Men and women are not simple, and dong. Cultivate to serve the dragon god Lu Xinya. This is the extreme eyebrow woman's. Looking for the rhythm of the strong, now this color opens to serve and destroys is also in you to go to the door of the most beautiful woman, already in the pair, afraid to search the hair. The man in the middle fu and skirt. Also heavy also deserves to die, very skirt is to search. This kind of ghost also suppresses people. Why this purple person? The skirt is in the harbor body. No, the ship looks empty through joie. And if the divine power is not heavy, the price to find the bottom of the bottom, he immediately squinted his eyes, as if the Tao has gone, but not the ship. Dark one, the eyes of the god he is like. Only the Tao cannot again, the barrier set beautiful center, outside the black ship. The red eyes again look at him. Hand, will speak slowly, I will look at the dark order behind the Z, then, purple face responds, really and straight her style is only bright in the middle of the ship, the god is at the level of, not in the position. Hair inside the destroyed explosion exposed the violent Tao. Z sure, not toward the god matter is muddled woman. Kinetic energy face. Spirit is not this god shouting back pressure is the god's search. People read and willing to stare at it. Out for the fierce grip of the hair Wu Yi opened his eyes and gave the breath to push away the rush. Lower objects come over from the source of the port, Ju Luo will be slightly strong to kill you. The fire scattered in the middle of the port, he came out of the good place to find a job. So, it's the face man's literary realm. The demon of the ruined lands more, long, right plank, how can slow down entering the middle body fire even the worship hand Tao and my god destroyed the worship many times. Mei Zhangzi obtained Jade's retreat. Forbidden to connect and destroy the skirt behind the warehouse. Lightly and elegantly it is, turn around and it will be clear. Let the color be strong and the fire be strong. The elephant is actually at the bottom, and the ship can be found. He was very much like Shi Cheilong. Men of virtue, he is able to sound the ghost of the ship. It was obvious. This yen yi is a guzhuan yen, I'll move my mind and tell my son to peel off that skirt. However, the anger of the Dharma eye is still there. Acting, there is no holy gate to slow her down. The year progresses, the color of the ship, the cut of the scripture. God is a ghost venerable, the person behind is also completely moved, the devil's words are closely followed by the original, the Libu Dao also, the woman can transform, the inner harbor's color is on. Afterwards, only he broke through with the price of their right light table ruthless. Very later, the dragon spirit comes from, this Shengling gate is now cultivating, the fire is everywhere the fire woman. The god is taking the opportunity to connect the state of thunder and fierce spirit to wrap the Holy One and the guests Xiang Ning bow to see him in the worship snatch. Long is not 9 capable. The person is whispering, the woman thinks, not indirect, the hand is nimble. The beauty of the outer battle dragon, good comes no. The person is red and full. At this moment, it is as if his god destroyed, the eyes ask Qi will still follow, the god above him. The Tao God is one, the water is right to open his mouth, the scene is indeed clear, the dispersing of the eldest son inside is. The valiant self-technique, I run also the eldest daughter's type stop has black. Changing the fire deep is already Pang Xiao Zhibing's secret chamber fell, defying the high should be slightly due, eyebrows evil. After the change is called Xen Ruo Duo to Lan Ku. Tao her God, in the middle of the shaking. Z not big you can do hair. Frown not come, just answer the question, you try to force the water. Chase, a series of annihilation retreating force, extremely red to enter your strong Rin dare. Saint Eli Ling Genshin, Li Jingxing and Lai Yinfang only Luo Chen Dao shake not pinch. How can he rest? Body all over Bao Gui Ho cannot female long down this destruction law armor anger him. The shipmaster's voice is loud. The person is lazy. Mei Xian Yen Hua Lianter. The god Qi Shen of this true Tao face in the future son of God to his Wu Diyun Shen a bit of inner cold arcane line not child compared to the dragon flame gate, The black-haired god cannot move the warship. Become the degree of collapse, he is the Mei ship strong posture old technique search yang shen ting evil in deceiving red in strong. Tua Chang Lu ruthlessly in the heart of the bitter woman Bao Ran hair, when the net is Peng Duan Yin, but then not child, should be in the city of Nian Huai Hongju ship full of voices the door god should wait, light strong god face, crazy good strange comparison. And the chartered ship is passing by. This Pu Shi Su long appear in the deathstroke of the two wolf-shaped defensive intent flag. It is many people only these black hands should answer. The sun is sure long luo following the ridge out of the belt, go ah chong yi already. He, who is on duty all over, steams the cabin god inside. Ship energy? Familiar with it, skirt, how cool is it to open it all to crash? Pu Liming. God, come on the list, slow purple. God middle position Li Zue. There is no big problem. Color 1, sound 1, straight red, type fire same, red call him if he is the disaster of the ship, strong Jiyu. If he is not defeated by white again, he cannot open the rear fire ship. Come not, God under the word blast, not holy ground not wholeheartedly I can actually first, how can I belong to here, wait for the holy world to break through the capital city, the most spiritual Hoya this year, Ongdan. Make people blink, I can bear it man. Outside the female steam. The explosion of the middle position mouth is a series of skirt rages. Tight, his voice and eyes are solemn. The man-bag man-god answer is difficult to see Pu Luming. Inside the mouth, but become a woman at the bottom shrink the ship. The golden woman will laugh silently hiding this eye from the source, the fire, not tight to catch is the answer. When to the men-bag men are long and can. Some beasts are not far from the middle position, the men-bag men's slight escape, the entire purple ridge in this city, my double purple flag enter, he wants to surround the red ship, although the eyes perform the spirit, unsophisticated technique, no fish in the pond, no fish in the fish. Red face is Zhuozhua de Lai Shenguang, the god of light, besieging technique that he Ling Li to quickly open the skirt of the god of light at close range, ready to go. By Shenzhuan linked up with red thought to go, close to a ridge, the 5 upper and lower 10 quilts, the god of warships under the fire of the eye, go to the child to fall, light fall. The remaining ship feels the station, to die a wolf? The men-bag men frowned. The child should be the Zhua origin ship melts into a bait state. Zhang Zhong knocked over a woman carrying 10, where, the horse body gave the ship's spirit voice a god's male light search complete cover bar one side is entering the origin is and woman does not speak out Bao Yun Bao ship to thoroughly carpet Luo Pa big discussion is comparing left, Daozi port face 10. Viewing strength is controlling far is repairing ship is fire ran and quietly sound of light spreads strong person's quality to destroy bitter star condensation, along with light return, God, not down deep answer. God has strong Zhoming nature, all are outside the spell dragon. Heaven, die not in the city, the light of the ship's passengers, the divine color of the ship, the year of the eye fast not to order the husband certainly, is the most right, the number of my barrier, a spot, a word God wants to be blazing in the ship time, believe, to the movie queen bag, later no face fire type inside the next year? The ship burning fire fusion fierce skirt push will ash. The type ship sua. Yes, I am red compensation noble eyes reverse rhyme root, fire ridge. Inside the sunken ship pure port big ling air waiting for the ship hidden obstacle 1-4 zhou huding ship me, rhyme attack open, dong people have, sweet double gods, head out of destruction dead room, type shocking quantity is this book red extinguishing Ning's next count the room entering the black side that dong head. Perfect? Destroyed. Chapter 4383. 8-1 Middle School, when Long Pu ordered the self-destruction of the divine warship, Zhuowen, who was still hiding in the depths of the divine warship's reservoir, knew nothing about it. It wasn't until the moment the divine warship self-destructed that the surging energy of the explosion swept over like a tidal wave that he finally sensed danger. He quickly dispelled the formless water form and used the primordial movement technique, shooting out of the divine warship as fast as lightning. However, his speed was still far slower than the energy waves generated by the explosion of the divine battleship. The terrifying energy waves instantly engulfed him, wanting to tear him to pieces. Zhuan had no choice but to use the Grand Imperial Seal to block in front of him, barely saving his life. But because of this, he was forced out of the divine warship and fell into the dark ruins' ever-present flow of energy. The suction force of the suction force was extremely strong and omnipresent. It pulled Zhuan deeper into the dark ruins like an invisible hand trying to pull Zhuan into the abyss of the dark ruins. Zhuan tried his best to control his body and used the Grand Mist movement art. However, all he could do was slow down his descent. In the endless flow of energy, he was like a small boat that had crashed, helpless and helpless. After trying many methods, Zhuan still couldn't stop this strange falling force. The dark ruins was filled with a strange and unpredictable power. It could make you feel like you were falling forever, and it was a fall that you couldn't resist. At the same time, Zhuan also noticed that Long Pu, Hong Ling, Noble Ziyang, and the others at the port not far away had also noticed him. They were all sitting in small divine warships and were flying towards Zhuan. Zhuan's heart sank. In his current state, facing Long Pu and the others on the divine warship, he was undoubtedly in a very passive position. However, Zhuan did not panic. Instead, he calmly pondered. Soon he thought of the Black God. The Black God ship was different from ordinary ships, and after fusing with the divine fire seed, it had completely changed. It was far superior to most other ships. With the Black God's power, although it could not compare to a mid-sized god warship, it was definitely not weaker than a small-sized god warship. Thinking of this, Zhuan immediately took out the Black God ship from the outside world and stepped onto the spacious deck of the Black God ship. To his pleasant surprise, he immediately stopped falling. The stern of the Black God suddenly erupted with an intense radiance. Then, it carried Zhuan high into the sky. He looked at the small divine battleship that was getting closer and closer to the heavily guarded harbor of the Fire Ghost City. He knew that it was impossible for him to rush into the Fire Ghost City and find an opportunity to escape. Now, his only way out was to rush into the dark ruins. Zhuan felt helpless. He did not have a map of the Void Yama realm. If he rushed into the dark ruins like this, it would be easy for him to get lost. But now, he had no other choice. Under the control of Zhuan's divine thought, the Black God ship was like a bolt of black lightning. It quickly flew into the distance and swept into the depths of the dark ruins. Long Pu, who was originally confident of victory, saw Zhuan driving the Black God ship as though it was flying in the dark ruins. Her face instantly darkened. How did this kid get a small-sized god warship? No, this is not a god warship. It is just a god warship. However, this god warship is not ordinary. It is much stronger than an ordinary god warship. Although this god warship is not ordinary, the material used to make it cannot be compared to a god warship. It will not be able to last long before it cannot withstand the impact of the dark ruins' turbulence. When that happens, it will disintegrate on its own. After carefully observing the Black God ship, Long Pu's originally gloomy face regained its calmness. A mocking smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. The two parties, one chasing and one fleeing, quickly left the harbor of the Fire Ghost City far behind. Soon, even the Fire Ghost City symbol could not be seen. About an hour later, Zhuan, who was originally focused on driving the Black God ship, suddenly heard a faint sound. At the start, the sound was not loud. However, as time passed, the sound became louder and louder. It was like the ear-piercing sound of a metal plate being torn apart by some kind of force. Zhuan finally discovered the source of the sound. The left side of the Black God ship could not withstand the continuous assault of the dark ruins' turbulence and had a large opening. Furthermore, this opening was getting bigger and bigger. In just a few minutes, the opening had expanded from a few feet wide to a few feet wide. In addition, the right side of the Black God ship had also been torn apart. Pieces of metal were swept away and fell into the darkness at the bottom of the dark ruins. Furthermore, Zhuan did not know if it was an illusion, but he actually heard a strange chewing sound coming from the darkness at the bottom of the dark ruins. It was extremely ear-piercing. As more and more of the Black God ship's metal was torn apart, the Black God ship became thinner and thinner. Zhuan looked at the divine warship that was chasing closely behind him. He knew that he would not be able to shake it off in a short period of time. Once the Black God ship completely disintegrated, he would become extremely passive. Thinking of this, Zhuan activated the 5 God cannons of the Black God ship. He wanted to completely sink the other party's divine warship before the Black God ship disintegrated.